will be back playing professional basketball before Domantas Sabonis is.
Yeah.
Keon Ellis, he spoke today. We should probably pull that audio up. He hurt his thumb last night. He left the game, didn't come back. Keon was at practice today, though, and again, as I mentioned, he spoke to the media. We'll pull that up here at some point. But Keegan took I thought he hurt his knee, but I guess it was a real nasty ankle roll.
Yeah.
And he didn't return. So now you've got this thing where, all right, I guess Keegan Murray's back out. Zach LaVine's 1 week absence actually turned into a 2 week absence as he came back. That was his first game played last night. He started the game off the bench, wound up playing 35 minutes, and then chased points at the end of the game. And all while the Kings lose their 5th game in a row for the 3rd time this year. 3 different losing streaks of at least 5 games. And there's like 40-something games left.
Jeez. Goodness gracious.
It is such a chore to watch. The fact that we actually had to watch this while that football game was being played is infuriating. We have, there was a good ending with the Lakers and somebody last night. It was like
Lakers and Grizz?
The Lakers and Grizzlies. Yeah. Thank you. No, sit around, watch Kings basketball. Watch this nice little run that they went on to cut the lead from 26-3, knowing they're going to lose this game by 20. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I think they lost by 17. As a matter of fact, while this show has been off the air, they have lost games by 24, 41, 14, 27, and 17.
What was the 41-point game again?
That was the Clippers.
Oh,
that was the night.
Yeah, oh my God.
That was Tuesday night. We were flying back.
Yeah.
And that was I think that was an 8:00 start. So we land and I turn the phone on and I use the Apple Sports app. It's not good for much, but it keeps the score for whatever your favorite teams are. For me, it's the Kings 49. It keeps it on the screen. So the phone turns on. And I think it was like 70-something to 33, something like that. And I was like, well, that's wrong. Like, obviously it's updating. Like, it's not, that's a glitch, whatever. So I'm opening the phone up like, okay, bars are back. We're landed. Click on the thing. And it's like, oh no, they're getting their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Again, because I knew they had gotten their ass kicked the night before, or maybe it wasn't the night before. It was definitely the game before against the Lakers.
Yeah. No, that's the game that's the game I didn't finish. I ain't gonna lie to you. Because I didn't watch that live. I was watching Lakers Pistons. That's what I watched because it was an NBC game. Watched that game. And then I was like, oh yeah, Kings, Clippers. I'll go back. I really want to see Cade and these guys. Like, I want to see what this looks like. So I'll go back and watch the Kings game later. Was able to stay away from the score and everything. I was like, good. It's 11 o'clock at night. House asleep. Let me put the Kings game on and see what happened in LA with the Clippers. And halftime, I'm like, I'm done, bro. This is pathetic. This is ridiculous.
So what that did for me was I'm trying to like make note of like, all right, they beat the Mavericks. Like, all right, like I saw the Laker thing. I was like, I'm not going to watch that. Like, I'm not going back to watch that. Like, we don't have a show for a week. Like, I'm not watching that. And then the Clippers game, well, I'm not watching that either. Like, I'm not watching this stuff, especially like now I'm into free time. Like now I'm just home and we just don't have a show. I'm not watching this stuff. I started watching Boston, whatever the next game was. I think it was Boston. I started watching that. I'm not going back to watch this crap.
No, you ain't missed nothing.
I watched the Pistons because I wanted to watch the Pistons.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sitting there watching all these games, man. And I don't even know what I'm looking for. Like, I've seen enough.
There's nothing to look for, man. There's absolutely nothing to look for.
Yeah, I've seen enough of all these guys.
And you have a thought that is 100% accurate about Keegan Murray's season.
Oh man, it's just a lost season, bro. It's just a lost season.
Nothing. It's I don't know the status of whatever update we get on Keegan Murray in the next day. just multiply it by 2, and that's probably what it is. And then just don't play him. Don't play Keegan till like after the trade deadline.
And tell me what you think about this, because I feel, and maybe it's tough to do this because of the injuries and all this other stuff. We know who Keegan Murray is. Like, let's stop pretending like there's more to his game. There's more, and he can be this. He's not. He is a really good role player. He's a really good role player. Somebody you want on your team. He is not this guy that's gonna carry you. He's not a second option. He's not this top flight 2-way player. Like, he's a good role player. Good role player. Don't get it twisted. He's good.
Mm-hmm.
But let's stop with it. If he could just get the opportunity, and if they pass him the ball more, nah, bro, stop. The guy's shooting 28% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I think you are correct. I think John Poles is correct. John Poles says, nope. Here comes the daily Keegan. That's absolutely that's our man, Scooter. Scooter says, here comes the daily afternoon Keegan slander at least twice a day. It's not slander. It's just an honest assessment. This is the message I meant to click on from Big John Poles. Keegan maxed out his potential his rookie season, and that might be accurate. Like, we're entering, like, this is year 4 now. And granted, this year is a disaster. I don't know what you take away. And this is the really difficult thing. And we can elaborate more on this tomorrow, because we really haven't even touched on what has gone on with the Raiders today. But that's the Kings' future. Like, I don't know about the number 1 pick, because that's not how the NBA works. It works differently. And Doug Christie mentioned, after the Phoenix game, you need luck. Like, there's some luck involved in this. And he talked about Oklahoma City, and he talked about Detroit. I think San Antonio was the other team that he referenced. It's like, man, that's all fine and well, Doug. But the luck is the important part of it, and you need that. Like, you're not going to get Victor Wembanyama. That's a once in a lifetime generational talent.
Mm-hmm.
You need a prospect like the Clippers drafted with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's what you need.
Mm-hmm.
You need to hit like that. You need to, Cade Cunningham was the number 1 overall pick in the draft, man. That's the different part about the Pistons, and they've been smart with their money, and they've taken risks, and they've done all of these different things, to maximize their cap space while also staying flexible to make deals should they choose to. If they wanted to get involved in the honest thing, they absolutely could. They have the contracts and the ability to do it. I don't know what their draft capital looks like in terms of acquiring a player like that, but they do have the ability to do it. But the future of the Sacramento Kings is probably what we're seeing with the Raiders. Like, unfortunately, I don't know how to evaluate Doug Christie as a head coach anymore. I just don't think he's going to get another opportunity to do it. And we can argue whether that's the right thing. We can argue whether that's the wrong thing. We can argue whether it was premeditated or not. Ultimately, I think that's what's going to happen. I also don't know what the next 6 weeks holds for this team. I think there's this grand idea that we're going to be able to wipe the slate clean in the next month, and that is terribly unrealistic. You talk about the Spurs. The Spurs missed the playoffs. I know this is like inconceivable. They missed the playoffs for 7 straight years. And that's, some of those years are with Wemby. They're obviously going to make it this year. This is going to snap their drought. The Pistons missed the playoffs for 5 years. OKC is not even worth throwing into this conversation, because they actually made the playoffs recently. But think about that. 7 and 5. The Kings rebuild hasn't even started. Like, this goes back to a conversation we were having, a couple months ago, where you posed the question, like, the rebuild hasn't started yet. What is, if you took a really, really optimistic view in the Sacramento Kings rebuilding, you're talking 3 to 4 years, they're returning to a place where they're competing, right? But that 3 to 4 year clock hasn't started yet. So you're entering the 3rd year where you're missing the playoffs. This will be the 3rd year they miss the playoffs. We don't know that the rebuild starts next year. Let's go and I genuinely believe this is best case scenario. You're able to wipe everything out by the trade deadline next year. Now you're at 4 years. You're tacking 4 more years onto that. Now you're getting into a stretch where the Sacramento Kings now have 2 of the top 5 longest playoff droughts in NBA history. Like, I think you'd have Kings, Wolves, the Suns will be up there. The Knicks might be up there, and the Kings would be up there. And the Kings would be up there a second time. And it would all be, we're talking, is that one playoff appearance in 26 years?
Sounds about right.
One playoff appearance in 26 years. That's what the Sacramento Kings are facing right now. If everything goes right.
Right. You got to get it right.
And I'm saying that with the examples that Doug used. Mm-hmm. If everything goes that way, that's not, again, Wemby and Cade, number one pick, generational talent, one of the top young guys in the league. The luck Doug Christie was talking about. I just don't know if Doug is going to have the ability to coach this team next year.
I don't know either. I don't know either. And I saw a lot of people over the break or anything. Shout out to this break too.
Shout out to the legends, because they got the Russell Westbrook Ryan Reynolds interaction last night.
It was lit. But I saw a lot of people like who were pro Tank talking about, yo, Scott Perry need to make a move. He need to do something so I just don't have to see this every night. Oh, no, no, you in this. You are in this. Mm-hmm. You got jumped in. You're in this for life.
Blood in, blood out.
You are in this, and this is what it looks like. Ain't no do something to make it more entertaining. No, it gets nasty. It's nasty. And look, if that works, cool. But I don't believe, or I haven't seen, there's no shortcut to getting where you want to go. Mm-hmm. You're going to have some dark years. It's going to get cold.
This person is incredible.
So he was just like marveling. He's like, man, it's unfair. Like, this is crazy.
Facts. That's right, young man. It is not fair.
So he asked me, he said, Dad, do you think Giannis is still the best player in basketball? And I said, I'll be a little stubborn and say yes. Like, I know Jokic is Jokic, but I still think Giannis gets overlooked for how ridiculous he is, and he can do more on both sides of the court. So I was like, I'm probably a one-man wolf pack, but I say Giannis. He goes, who's the top 5 players in basketball? And I said, Giannis, Jokic, SGA. And then I didn't finish. Who are the top 5 players in the game right now?
Luka, right?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. If you like Luka? That, if you like
that sort of thing,
if you like a one-dimensional guy who is actually an embarrassment on defense, like Reggie Miller called his ass out the other night.
Yeah,
like he's an embarrassment on the defensive end. If you're cool with that, cool. It's just people get a little selective of when they care about defense and when they don't. But cool. I'd say 4.
I agree with that. People get very selective as to when defense matters.
Yeah.
Apparently, the world learned Luka couldn't play defense when Dallas got to the finals.
Right. And then he was like, I didn't give him an answer because I couldn't think. He was like, is Ant there? I was like, I don't know. So who are the top 5 players in the NBA?
Did we just throw them in the chat? Wemby in there now?
Is Wemby a top 5 NBA player right now?
As great as Wemby is, and he is maybe the ultimate difference maker. It's not like he's putting up Jokic numbers.
Well, I do.
Like his numbers
true.
be like 19 and 11.
I do think one of the easy top 5s isn't playing right now.
Yes, correct. Jason Tatum.
I think Tatum is a top 5 player.
You're right. Ooh, did Jalen get in that conversation?
Well,
you guys talk about that. I've been trying to tell people.
No, you talk about because I don't know if I'm back.
36-6, the 3 seed in the East after they were 41 win team from Vegas or whatever.
Is Jalen a top 5 player in the NBA though? Top 5 player.
What do you want? Like you said,
like
Luka doesn't play defense.
If you put Luka in there, I'm not saying today Jalen's better than
Jalen treated Luka like food in the finals. We're being real.
You're right.
Like literally, like
You're
give
right.
me Luka, I'll shut him down. Treat him like food in the finals. Like I know, like like I'm not gonna say Jalen's top 5 or whatever, but he's
Well, wait a
36
sec.
and 6.
Wait a sec, though. Is Jaylen Brown better than Anthony Edwards?
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
I'm not putting Jalen over.
Oh, I am.
I am.
I'm
I'll take
not.
Jalen over Ant-Man.
I think Jalen is right now.
Today.
I think Jalen's better than Anthony Edwards.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with it.
In
I'll disagree,
circumstances,
but I'm not going to argue.
Okay.
With it.
I wanted to
think
see what
he-
Jalen could do with his own team, and
He's
he's
killing.
doing it right now.
No, he's killing. He's killing. He is absolutely killing. But yeah, I was like,
But
I got
here's
stuck.
the thing, though. I don't think the list is Jokic, SGA, Giannis, Tatum, and Brown. It's probably one or the other when they're together,
Yeah.
because just the nature of.
Tatum is better than Brown. If you put him
I
side by side,
agree.
Tatum's better
Like
than Brown.
I think right now, Jaylen Brown is a top 5 player in the NBA. I think when we're talking about, which I think was the spirit of Reese's question, who are the top 5 players? Tatum is in that conversation. Like, it's Tatum.
Yeah,
Jason
yeah.
Tatum is a
I
top
think
5 NBA player.
I think he.
I don't know who the fourth. I guess in this case it'd be the 5th one. Maybe it is
People would say
Luka
Luka.
Doncic. Like
I think people would say Luka.
I do. I think I'd go with that. I think I'd
and that's
go with
fair.
Luka.
That is much as I
I
have.
don't know where
qualms
Jalen now goes in the
about-
conversation, but
Yeah, as much as I have qualms about Luka and the defense, I mean, yeah,
The
I'm
Lakers
not going to
are-
argue with anybody
like-
saying he's a top 5. I mean, can I ask both of you guys a question about Keegan Murray? This is not any type of loaded question or whatever. Just asking the question. It's kind of along the lines of John Poles saying earlier that we saw. What did he say? We saw
he peaked his rookie year.
his rookie year. Yes or no? Keegan Murray will never shoot 40% or more from the 3-point line in his career again.
I don't know. I think he will. I think he is a very good shooter. I think that it hasn't proven out the last, year and a half, but I think that he is a good shooter. I watched him shoot in college. I watched him set a rookie NBA record for most 3-point makes in a season, shot 41%. Like he made over 200 threes in his rookie season. So I think he can be that player. But, we were talking about it earlier, me and Kyle, this whole entire season, it feels like a team that's out of rhythm. And there is no, I think Keegan, we've learned at this point, he's a rhythm shooter, right? And Kenny, I think as a scorer, that when you're trying to create for yourself, it's a different type of shot. When you're getting passed to from somebody else, it's a different kind of shot. But when it's like the entire thing is kind of off its rails and no pass is hitting you in the pocket, and like it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't feel like anything this team does is in rhythm. That's really hard. And, I think I'm not making excuses for anybody. I mean, everybody is culpable in what's happening at this point. But at the same time, man, we used to have this thing where Marco Bellinelli complained about Rajon Rondo. He wanted to play with Rondo because Rondo gave him a perfect pass every time, and Darren Collison didn't give him a perfect pass, and he wasn't happy with the quality of pass he was getting to shoot in rhythm. I feel like that's the entire Sacramento Kings roster at this point. Like nobody is getting a shot in rhythm, and that's tough. Should he be hitting more of his 3-point shots? Absolutely. But I also, this thing isn't working. Nothing is working. And that's a really difficult thing to play in when you're a rhythm shooter and you're trying to do anything, that looks like it's in rhythm.
If part of what got traded, that 40% is the complement of players, my answer is no, because I don't think he's going to have that complement of players.
The interesting thing about all this with Trey, I think the league in general just like wilding out about Trey a little bit.
Are we
as
gonna
far
look
as
I don't
the way
yeah.
they look at him?
Well,
Are we gonna look back in 2 years and be like, maybe you should have traded Zach LaVine for Trae Young?
It depends on like what else you do, but like I feel that way right now.
Well, because we're talking about Zach LaVine. Hopefully he just declines his option or whatever, or he finds something. But I think the way it looks, he's probably leaving for nothing.
I'm with Kenny. I'm with what you just said. However, Trista's story yesterday does hold a little bit of weight with me.
Mm-hmm.
If we're in a situation where we're not just talking about the player, and you can do net positives, net negatives, defense, you could do all of this stuff that you want to. When you talk about locker room issues, when you talk about issues with management, especially now, if I'm Washington too, I'm like, hey, we need a guy, but we also have a lot of young men who are learning to be NBA players right now. I don't know that that's the move we can make right now. If the story Trista told yesterday is a prevailing thought within NBA circles, like I would get that. From a player perspective, I genuinely just don't understand.
Like I look at Brooklyn, like what are you thumbing your nose up at Trae Young? Oh no, because we're gonna get Giannis. Sit down. Brooklyn Nets they just damn near wasted 4 picks this past draft. And no, we got to keep our cap space in it. Man, y'all stink. And y'all gonna stink.
They could be possible. They could just be being patient
because they're gonna get Giannis.
Brooklyn.
That's their. We're getting all our ducks in a row because we're gonna get Giannis. Giannis is not going to the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay.
And if you do get
Giannis is kind of
you still got to get players around him.
Giannis has kind of put himself in a position where he can't go to the Brooklyn Nets. Like every time he opens his mouth, it's about, well, I want to win. Like it's about winning.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Brooklyn does not symbolize that you want to win.
Right.
Like they're not there. Even with you, like they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
So you've kind of blown up everything that you've said over the course. Well, who knows? Things might go bad here and they might trade me. He gave the speech about being a competitor. It's about winning championships. I want to win championships. All right. Well, telling Milwaukee you want out so you can go play in Brooklyn, who's not even close, it kind of don't work that way.
It don't rock. So I don't know. Like I said, I just think people kind of. I told this to you yesterday before the show started. I think a lot of these general managers and people who these decision makers, I think they hide behind numbers because they don't necessarily know what they're watching or what they're talking about a lot of the times. So if they look at somebody like a Trae Young, they'll come up with this the DVOA and defensive efficiency that'll show you like he's really just a bad player. Like that's what all that other stuff will tell you. When if you watch, is he a perfect player? Absolutely not. I can watch him and say like, oh no, he's not really a good defender. Like he lets guys go blow by him. You've got to account for that. But he is a difference maker on the offensive end at a high level. He's a guy that can win you games. He's a guy that can bring you across the finish line in close games. He's a guy that you, as the other team, you have to account for. You have to spend time trying to figure out how are we going to defend Trae Young, which leaves you less time to worry about a Jalen Johnson or Bogey or Kevin Huerter when he was there and all this other stuff. He's a difference maker in that respect. But because his war, his verserp, is 10 points in the negative, that proves he's not really an effective player or he's not a winner. And they hide behind that. Like you can go to these numbers and make these numbers say whatever you wanted to say to justify your wrong decision.
But is there a chance, though? Some of these guys I do think know what they're looking at. And sometimes the numbers, I think we talk about the eye test. I think oftentimes numbers don't match the eye test when you're looking at two different things. When you're watching Trae Young through the perspective of he's not a winning basketball player, he's a net negative, he's this, he's that, you can use the numbers to make that work. That's what you're so I saw these numbers that said when Trae Young is on the court, this happens, and this happens, and it's all bad. Mm-hmm. So now I'm watching Trae Young through those eyes. We have a real life example here. Keon Ellis. I do not watch Keon Ellis the way I used to anymore. Mm. And it's almost like a less obnoxious version of the Draymond Green thing. Draymond Green's a good basketball player. No. Draymond Green is the greatest basketball. He is the greatest defender. He is the greatest sidekick to a superstar. It's all this over the top stuff. And it's like, oh, really? Now I watch him through the perspective of that and it's go, yep, I'm not sophisticated enough. I don't get it. Because he's getting away with like what should be flagrant fouls on this end of the floor. He can't hit nothing on this end of the floor and hasn't been able to in 4 years. I watch it through a different perspective. That happens with Keon Ellis, and it's happened since Summer League before last season, where he played that whole Summer League, and Keon's got to start. And it's like, wait a minute, what did Keon do to tell you he's earned a starting position? And now I just don't watch that brother the same anymore because people get so infuriated that he's not playing. And it's like, what numbers do you see that he's this? And they watch him through, well, he's a positive defender. Well, he's this. Well, Kenny's favorite, he was a +2 in a game they lost by 10. All right. I guess my eye test doesn't match those numbers. And it's the intermingling of those two things can often be overridden by your feelings that you already have about a specific player, be it Keon in this situation, Trae Young in the situation that got us here, or Draymond Green in the earlier example.
Check this out. You tell me if I'm wrong or I'm doing too much, or maybe it's just a Twitter conversation that happens. Mm-hmm. Off the top of my head, there's a handful or less of players in this league that haven't been drugged through the mud with, well, you know, he really can't do this. And the numbers say when he's on, like, their defense drops off, or his shooting percentage, or he's an ISO player and all this other stuff. There's only one person, maybe two, in the history of the game. Well, let's just say in the recent history of the game. Mm-hmm. Three. I got three now.
Okay.
Jokic, Curry, and who was the other guy I was thinking of?
I thought you were going to say Jordan, but maybe that's too far back.
Yeah, I'm recent history, like LeBron era.
Okay.
Maybe it's LeBron too. So Jokic, Curry, and LeBron, even though they be talking about LeBron's defense right now. They talk about everybody. So you mean to tell me all you smart people, all you people that are students of the game, all these guys suck? All of them are just bad and you can't win with them? They talk about everybody. And they get these numbers off with the metrics. So they actually everybody. They bring up Luka.
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently Luka played great defense until the NBA Finals.
Tyler got one. Wemby's one they don't talk about yet. They get all they talk. So that's why miss me with like, oh man, he's not a winner, or the numbers say all this. You guys say that about everybody. All these great players. You come up with it. They talking about Giannis. Well, he's just an ISO player. You got to get the ball on the block, and you got to do what he says. That's why they can't win. Giannis.
Mm-hmm. No.
They talk about everybody. So I'm not forget. There you go. Scouts. SGA was the other one I was talking about. I was thinking.
Oh, there you go.
So that's 4 or 5 players. Yeah. 4 or 5 players that they just don't talk about. They talk about LeBron being a hindrance. LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a lot of the times to be there's some validity to some of it. Like if you're watching, like they line up the numbers and the eye test line up a good amount of the time. But sometimes it's just like, man, I'm not paying attention to that, because you got a problem with everything. And the solution isn't to find a perfect player. It's you've got this guy. This is what he does well. Let's work around the things that he doesn't do well. That's how I always look at some of these players. Trae Young's not perfect by any means. And I'm talking about the court, like the locker room stuff. I'm like you. That's a little different. That holds a little different weight. But it's like, all right, what are you looking for? What kind of, you looking for a perfect player? That don't exist.
Yeah, it does feel like a lot of these teams, executives, I guess, that's what they're looking for. And again, maybe you name the 3 or 4 that, and Steph is far from a perfect player, but he does the things that he does right. He does them so right, it doesn't matter.
Maybe talking about KD. Come on, man.
I mean, if there was a perfect player in the league, it's probably Kevin Durant, right? And they find ways to, like, what does Kevin Durant do wrong? No, seriously, as a basketball player, like, what does Kevin Durant do wrong?
I have no idea, man. Too many mid-range shots.
I guess, but maybe Trae's not Kevin Durant.
No.
And he never has been, and he's not Steph Curry, he's not Nikola Jokic. But he is a unique he is a unique player, in the conversation around him right now is fascinating. And maybe it just boils down to, if you're Brooklyn, if you're Minnesota was another one. Does it, if you're Brooklyn, does he help us build towards, we won't even say a championship. We'll say Scott Perry's line about being a sustainable winner. Does Trae help with that? If you're Minnesota, you have to ask, does he help us win a championship? And if you can honestly sit down and say, no, he doesn't, like, I'm fine with that. But Minnesota's conversation has to be a lot different than Brooklyn's. And Brooklyn's conversation even has to be different than Washington, because Washington might be in a better place as currently constructed than Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn can have all these high hopes, but if those fall short, where are you? Washington has something. What? We don't know. But they need a one, and they need a guy. And there's still a question in this league as to whether Trae Young is that or is not. And maybe we'll get some answers to that in the upcoming weeks, or the way that these reports have gone over the last 4 or 5 days. It could be a whole lot sooner than that. Couple of things. We'll start with Ant-Man, Anthony Slater. Anthony Slater, and I should quote it. I was going to say, hopefully I'm smart and kept it in the exact location that he said it, because I want to read it verbatim. I might not be able to do that, because he wrote a very, very long article on the Sacramento Kings today over on ESPN.com. And here it is. I was able to find it. Christie is on the first season of a 3-year contract, least sources said, but the final season is a team option. This is a trial period for a first-time head coach, but Perry has been firm in his backing of Christie. Despite the poor record, his job is safe, team sources said. It's funny. There's a couple of things. Despite his poor record, his job is safe, team sources have said. He's talking to Scott Perry on the record in this article. So it's interesting that note doesn't have Scott Perry's name attached to it. However, my question to you is, and it's going to lead into what I asked about the rookies a second ago, or but yeah, they're all rookies. The rookies that the question I asked you a second ago. Despite the poor record, his job is safe, team sources said. And it starts that by laying out the contract, 3 years, team option, trial period, blah, 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 blah. What's that line tell you?
That he's not getting fired today.
That's it. That's all it means to me, is he's not getting fired during the season. I never for a second thought Doug Christie was getting fired during the season. I have a lot of questions what happens the day after that regular season concludes, though. And again, very openly talking to Scott Perry on the record in this article. But despite the poor record, his job is safe comes from a team source. I'm with you in that line. Is Doug was never losing his job during, no matter, they could lose every game the rest of the year. He he's not losing his job during the season.
Mhm.
I just don't know if he's going to be the coach next year. This season has been so far beyond, even in your worst expectations, you didn't envision this. The most secure in the Bagley, one of the most cynical Kings fans. I mean, there's a lot of them. I don't mean to pick on secure in the Bagley. There's a lot of them. I don't think even the most cynical Kings fan saw 8-29, 37 games into the season. And that 8 might not change too much the rest of this month.
Mm.
If Doug is in fact, meaning Doug doesn't hold the water for all of this, but he might have to hold some of it. Now, I don't know what Scott's plan moving is forward. I with all due respect, I shouldn't be Mike Woodson, but Dylan, Max, Neek, what's it matter if the next coach comes in and is like, I don't know if I really like any of those guys. Now, Max doesn't do what I want to do on the defensive end. Dylan doesn't. Dylan's hands, they're not sticky enough yet. The ball keeps bouncing off him. I can't do. What do you want me to do with that? Neek, a little rough around the edge. I'll give him an opportunity. I'll let Neek continue to, take his lumps and figure the league out. But what am I going to do with this? Scott, let's sit down and talk about what this upcoming draft looks like. And it's a different version of the Keon thing. It's a situational role player. It's a different version of Malik. It's a different version of Akpala and Duarte and all of these different guys who fit a specific coach's vision of what they want their basketball team to look like. Well, if the visionary is different, what does any of this matter? Now, if Doug is back next year and is in fact the long-term coach, because one thing's clear, Doug seems to really like Dylan Cardwell, and he seems to really like Maxime Reynaud. I'm not suggesting anything about anything otherwise about Nick Clifford. I'm just saying he has said at different times, including last night, specific things about Dylan Cardwell and Maxime Reynaud, where I was like, oh yeah, Doug likes these guys. He absolutely sees something in them. But he's the visionary right now. Well, what if that visionary changes? What does it matter? What is their performance right now with this god-awful basketball team matter? What Russ is doing, DeMar, Zach, none of that matters, and everybody knows it because it's like, well, they're not a part of the future. Hey, we love Russell Westbrook, and you take the good and the bad, don't love the step-back three, but, man, he's been a net positive. We want DeMar out of here. We know all of those guys are short term. Doesn't matter. So whoever the coach is, be it Doug or someone else, that doesn't matter. But these other three do. Keegan's sort of in that group also. But these other three manage a lot more because you can't really take the job and go, oh, I don't like Keegan Murray, especially after that contract was just signed. But you can take the job and go, like, playing two-way guys or two-way contract guys. Come on, man. Come on, Scott. We got to do better than this. I just don't know. Like, you guys want to see the young guys, want to see, hey, I'm with you. Like, let's do it. I'm fine. I just don't know in the end what any of it means. Moving forward, I don't know if any of it means anything. Unless it's like, yo, it goes from, oh, we think there's something there to like, no, there's very clearly something there. Like, there's something undeniable there. I don't think any of these three guys is going to show something undeniable over the course of the next 44 games.
I don't think so either. I think, and like I said, what I'm about to say is a 180 from how I felt over the summer. But I think the thing that I believe in the absolute most from those three guys is being able to play Dylan Cardwell in almost any situation. It's because of his physicality. It's because of him knowing exactly who he is. Maxime Reynaud is a better player. He's a more skilled player than Dylan Cardwell, but it's really right now, it really feels like Maxine is just, I'm a roller on a pick and roll and I can hit my little floater. He's an okay rebounder. I want him to be a little bit more physical on the boards, and he shies away from the contact right now. Maybe that changes with an off season and in his second year as he gets more comfortable. So I don't want to categorize him in that respect just yet. But like, it feels like for him to be effective, he's got to be scoring. And he's got to be, hey, get him the ball so he can get his floater and all this other stuff. Dylan Cardwell can get no shot attempts, can get no plays ran for him, and he can leave an imprint on the game. And that's something that if he kind of fine tunes that a little bit, he can have a career in this league because of that. And because that's something you can rely on: his defense, his rebounding, his shot blocking. And once again, this is all looking at these guys in the premise of like a guy off your bench. Like, I'm not looking at Dylan Cardwell as a starting big man. I'm not looking at Maxime Reynaud on a good team as a starting big man. I'm looking at these guys as backup bigs, and what can I rely on for them to be effective moving forward. I feel like I can rely a little bit more on what Cardwell brings to the table in that scenario than what Max can bring to the table. That's how I feel right now. I didn't feel this way about Cardwell in the summer. I looked at him a couple of times like, man, why are they playing this guy so much? Like, he can't shoot a free throw. He ain't got no touch around the rim. Like, nah, I've seen enough. And I was wrong. Like, I really like what he brings to the table. So I say all that to say, in the scenario you're talking about, he might be the one that can, I don't know if this is the right word, but can transcend coaches. Mm-hmm. Like, a new coach comes in, he's like, I like how that guy gets down. Like, I can use him. I can use him. It feels like you can use what he brings to the table in any scenario. You need that for a basketball team. I might not need a backup big with a soft touch around the basket who doesn't defend and is hit or miss with the rebounding. A coach may not need that. I'm not looking for that. Mm-hmm. And they may look at Max differently than Doug Christie does. Feels like Cardwell, what he brings to the table is universal. Does that make sense at all?
No, it makes complete sense. Yeah, it makes sense, but it still feels, and tell me if you think this is wrong, it still feels almost like niche at this point. That's not what I need.
Mm-hmm. Like, it can easily be dismissed.
Yeah, there you go.
It can easily be dismissed. And I like what Max brings to the table. I like a guy that can finish around the basket with both hands. I think he can shoot better than what he's shown in the regular season.
I think all three of these guys have a lot of growing that they're going to do.
I'll say that's what may differ.
Okay, tell me why.
I don't know how much growing these guys have.
Okay,
I'm looking at them. They're not finished products. They're not. But tell me if we disagree. I think they're closer to maxing out who they are than not. I don't think.
I hope not. Yeah, Max
22, 24, 25 years old.
No, I understand, but it's still their first year in the league. Like their basketball age is different than their NBA age. Their NBA age is very young. Mm-hmm. Like, and they're not like bogey. Like with all, and I know the joke is I don't like, but that's not like Bogdan Bogdanović was a professional basketball player for years before he came to Sacramento. Maybe a decade or close to it before he came to Sacramento. And it was like when he got here, it was, that was only, year one of Bogdan Bogdanović. What's he going to look like next year? Well, wait a minute. He's like 25. He's a 6 or 7 year professional basketball player at this point. I know the EuroLeague is different, but it's not college. Mm-hmm. It's not college. It's not, G League. He's playing professional basketball against other professional basketball players, including NBA players. So I always looked at that different. That's not what Dylan is at 24. That's not what Max is. at 22 or what Nick is at 21, 22 years old. Their actual age, their basketball age, is not the same as their NBA age. And I do think there is something to getting in the league and understanding the league. I feel like Max has gotten a little bit better just in this year alone, just in the time that we've seen him. And part of that is it's the, going back to that far too long Washington Wizards article I read. They're playing their guys, and they're just going to see what it looks like the entire year. They're going to see what that looks like. That might be, again, we don't know where any of this is going because Domantas Sabonis isn't playing. But you're going to have to find a way if Domantas Sabonis is still on this roster for Maxime Reynaud to continue to play. That might start becoming true for Dylan Cardwell as well. You have to find ways to get him minutes. It's going to be a lot more difficult to get both of those guys minutes, and you're going to have to prioritize one over the other or work one at the 4 or whatever. But I think they have a lot of growing to do, and it's not the Keegan Murray 12 points to 20 thing. It's not that. It's, I think, some of the frustrations that you have with Maxime Reynaud can be ironed out. Not to where you feel like he's a top 10 center in the league, but to where you feel like he's good at that position. Dylan, I think he has. I think Dylan's going to be a lot better just with time on the floor. There are we talked about the ball just bouncing off his hands at times. That's gotten marginally better just in his short time, this year. The weird thing with him is he still has to go back and forth. The back and forth hasn't ended for him yet, and it's probably not going to end until after the middle of February, I think, is when they can end that if they've managed it properly. So I don't know. I want this to mean something because Kings fans want to see it so bad. You've had the rug pulled out from you already with the Keon Ellis stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just be careful about getting too invested in these guys when someone might come in next year and feel differently about them.
For sure.
And we don't have a clue how Scott feels about these guys.
For sure. And there's a couple of things there. Like, and I see in the chat, people like upset with what I said or saying I'm like,
as they should be.
Hear what I said. Hear what I said, though. I said, I think they are close to where their ceiling is. I'm not saying they're, no pun intended, maxed out, but I look at Max and Dylan and Nick too. I think they're like 70%, 80% of who they're going to be in this league. There's, number one, that's still room to grow. Just like, I don't know what percentage you guys would put it on, but just because I didn't say they're only showing 40% of who they're going to be in the league, and I disagree. That doesn't mean I don't think they can't get better. Yeah, they can get better, but at this age, and really like the knocks on them coming into the draft and coming and watching them in in college, and that still kind of being who they are, I'm starting to lean towards, that's kind of the basketball player they are. Max is a little finesse. He's a little soft. He can get better at that. Do I think he turns into Charles Oakley? No, that's not saying that's who you or anybody else said he would be, but that's not who he's ever shown himself to be. He's not going to be this, I don't believe, this man-child physically in the NBA. He's going to be a little finesse. He's never been a defender. Never been a defender. I watched him at Stanford. This defense, there's a reason why he slipped into the second round. It's because they thought he was soft, and he's not really a defender. He's finesse. These are the things that have shown themselves in the NBA. He can get better with the people around him, with working with the coaches and trainers. He can get better at that, but he's not going to turn into Draymond. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
I think there's room to improve, but I think we're close to who these guys are going to be. And here's the other aspect of this. Maxime Reynaud is a second-round pick. Dylan Cardwell is an undrafted two-way guy.
Yeah.
If you get in a situation where both of these guys are part of your rotation and playable, even as backups, that's success. That is success. You did a good job, Scott Perry, by finding a guy in the second round and finding a guy on the scrap heap as an undrafted free agent that you can play in real games and meaningful games once you get there. That is a success. I look at those two already showing that they can play on this level against Anthony Davis and Jokic and all these other guys and be effective. That's a good find. You did a really good job, Scott Perry, finding these guys. These guys are good basketball players. It's not just because I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're both going to be starters. I'm not putting that on them. They could prove me wrong, but if they're bench guys in this league, that's dope. That is dope. Like, you found two guys where a lot of guys don't even make the NBA to be in the rotation. Good job. I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's any problem with, if this is close to who they're going to be, that's what it is, because they've shown that they can play. You found two guys that can play in this league. That's a good thing, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. It absolutely is. I just hope all parties, whoever they may be, next year feel that way. Well, you talked about it briefly on the Insiders earlier. Your energy seems to be a little bit different as this game against the Philadelphia Eagles approaches on Sunday.
It's still very cautious. Still very cautious. I think they're going to have to play a top flight game to go into Philadelphia and win that game. But on Sunday afternoon or Saturday night after the Niners game and the possibility of going, I was like, oh, Philly, that's not where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bad matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And it still is a bad matchup. But I'm starting to see, as I do a little bit more research and looking into the game, I'm starting to see some pathways. First and foremost, that Eagles offense is terrible. It's awful. And
19th in the league in points per game.
It's
about 22 points per game. 19 points in their last three.
22 points per game on the season?
I'm trying to tell you guys.
It's really bad. It's really
I don't think
bad.
I realized it was that bad for the season.
I saw I heard
God, the Raiders really suck. Give up 31 to this team. Goodness gracious.
Well, I saw the stat, or heard the stat this morning. My people in Philly, well, they're not my people, but listen to the streets of Philly. 16 points per game for that offense against playoff teams this year.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I thought the 49ers got dominated by the Seahawks in that game on Saturday. But one of the things that I think Robert Saleh, especially with all the injuries, is looking to do with this defense is, it's been said a trillion times, but literally bend but don't break. Like, we'll give up yards. That's just what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not going to give up chunk plays, and we're going to get you into the red zone where everything is more condensed. And I think we talked about it last or the other day or something like that. I think they're 5th in the league defensively in like red zone percentage and touchdowns given up in the red zone or something like that.
Yeah.
They do a better job there. And I look at this game and I'm like, Eagles might get yards or whatever, but if we get to the point where they're still playing well in the red zone defensively, the 49ers, they're going to have their opportunity to stay in that game. Keep them out of the end zone. Try to give up 2 touchdowns or less in that game. You'll have a shot to win. Lastly, was watching Richard Sherman's podcast and reading some different things. And also I watched a little bit of film. That's what I had to do. That's my job with Kyle. I had to watch a little film.
Shanahan, not
Yeah.
Madsen.
That's my job. Me and Kyle, I got the direct connect.
Yeah.
And I agree with him. Richard Sherman says that defensive line, led by Jalen Carter, who might be the best interior lineman in the game right now,
Mm-hmm.
they're the real deal.
It's nice of you to call him Richard too.
Well, that's his name. That's what I call him.
Well,
that's what
you call him now.
Still blocked.
The internet is forever.
Never not blocked.
Yeah, what do you think? He went through his blocked accounts and was like, you know what?
Bobby Gerald did.
Let me give this. Well, that was after begging and pleading with Bobby. Bobby, you are my guy. Can we get to the bottom of
Can
this?
you imagine if we had Richard on the show one day, like, hey, can you unblock Casey? Yeah, why did I block him?
Well,
see, tell him.
no. Here, we'll show you the tweets, Richard. Richard, we'll show you the tweets.
That was before I was delivered.
I'm just imagining you're Richard Sherman. Let me go. You know what? Let me drop King KC _ That's not even the same name I blocked.
See, but now what he would see now though is me talking about how much I love Uncle Sherm. I've been saying that since he was a Niner. I love Uncle Sherm. That's my guy. He's a true Niner now.
You'd see a married family man with was Reese born yet? 13
He
years
was born
ago?
in 12. Yeah, he's 13 years old. He was born in 12. So that was the height. That was the height of it all.
So the time frame is sketchy. You may or may not have even been a father yet. Man.
Uncle Sherm, man, that's my boy. He's a true Niner. Uncle Sherm, a true Niner.
Well,
when they went into Seattle in 2019,
his
and he won that
name
game,
is now Uncle Sherm.
Yeah, that happened fast.
Yeah, it's Uncle Sherm. When he went into Seattle in 2019, last game of the season, and that's when it happened. It's like, you're a true Niner now, big dog.
Real quick.
True Niner.
Just real quick. Does Vivek still have uncle status?
Sure, you be Uncle V. I don't like all my uncles.
Fair enough.
Sure.
I refer to my mom's family as that's my mom's brother and my mom's sister.
But he was talking about, and I agree with him on this one. He talks about Jalen Carter and that interior defensive line and all this other stuff. Then unblock K Diddy. Crazy.
Unblock him.
That's crazy. But he says that's going to be an issue. But much like I say about the Rams, if you can hold up as an offensive line, you can get them on the second and third level. Talking about the Eagles. If they can hold up that offensive line, the 49ers offensive line, they can hold up to that pass rush of the Eagles defensive line. They're going to be plays to be made in that linebacking area, middle of the field, and in that secondary. This is going to be tough. I don't know if they can hold up, like especially if Trent doesn't play. Like that's going to be tough. That defensive line of Philly is legit. But if they can keep Brock upright, yeah, I agree with Richard Sherman on that one. I see the same thing. So they're still gonna have to play a really, really top flight game.
So this
really
is
top flight game. But I think I'm starting to see some things.
So let's go back to the conversation after Seattle. I thought Mike McDonald was brilliant in his execution of where obviously we're going to attack the 49ers run defense. And even when we don't, we are. We'll drop back and have Sam Darnold throw the ball to the line of scrimmage. We'll have him throw it 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, and we'll allow our receivers to work from there, or our tight ends or our running backs or whoever. When you talk about keeping, we saw, I think there's multiple reasons for it. It's Wednesday. Don't read anything into it to me. Trent Williams didn't practice. The people you would expect to not practice didn't practice today. To me, that is not even remotely surprising. Talk to me on Friday, and then we can determine, Trent Williams and the status.
Literally
for all
gets
of that.
Wednesdays off anyway.
But it seems to be a thing every time. Oh, Trent didn't practice today, guys. He was never going to. He doesn't. He might not practice tomorrow. But we'll follow all that as the days progress. You talk about keeping Brock Purdy upright. That could also be a part of that. Get rid of the ball quicker. Do we see a situation where the 49ers, especially with the likes of George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, do what we saw a different defense, but do what we saw the Seahawks do against the 49ers, and it's use short passes as a part of their run game to do multiple things. Keep Brock Purdy upright, but to find ways to get Christian McCaffrey the ball where he's not creating out of the backfield and allowing him to create in space a little bit.
100%. 100%. That's something that I think could happen, could be part of the game plan. The other thing with the coaching, you got Kyle Shanahan going up against Vic Fangio. This is elite versus elite. I like my boy Vic Fangio from way back when he was with the Niners with Harbaugh like that. I'm a big believer in Vic Fangio. So you're going up against his defense. But one of the things I've read, I've seen with my own eyes is the weak spot in that defense is like the middle of the field, the linebacker area.
Philly's defense.
Yeah, Philly's defense. And just the scheme of it all is the middle of the field. Traditionally, you've seen enough Kyle Shanahan and 49ers games at this point, doing this show and before. Where do they like to operate? The offense.
Yeah, the middle of the field.
Middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Your Christians, your Kittles,
Jimmy Garoppolo has attempted to get receivers killed by trying to work the middle of the field. He's nearly succeeded several times.
And Devontae said, "I'm done."
Yeah, Devontae
said, "I'm out of here." No. But to your point, though, getting Christian involved that way in the passing game, and one of the big keys also is if Ricky Pearsall plays. If Ricky doesn't play, it gets murky. They need somebody that can spread the field a little bit, and that's gonna be big. If Ricky doesn't play, confidence meter goes down a little bit for me. Right now, I'm at a 6. I'm at a 6.
Where were you Monday?
Monday, I was like at a 2.
You're gonna be at 12 by Friday at 3:45.
But if you tell me Ricky didn't practice on Friday, I'm like, oh no, 4 or 5. They need Ricky Pearsall in this game. They missed him on Saturday.
Yeah, they did.
Seattle was able to defend the way they were because they had nobody to take the top off the defense or the threat of it. And if you go into this, while the schemes are a little different, and actually the personnel and the level of talent, I know they got Mitchell and DeJohn. Those are great corners in the secondary, but the linebackers aren't the same for the Eagles that they saw in Seattle. I think the linebackers aren't as they're just not as mobile as what Seattle has. If they can just sit there 5-7 yards from the line of scrimmage, it's gonna be tough. Mm-hmm. But if they've got to respect the deep threat of Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle going down the seam and just give a little bit of room for a Christian McCaffrey or Jennings coming across the middle, that could be just what Brock Purdy needs, and that's could be what Kyle Shanahan needs to be able to scheme up some plays for Brock in that game. So I see the pathway. Mm-hmm. I see it. It was way in the distance on Monday, but now it's like, oh, there it is. There, yeah, there it is. It's gonna be tough. It's narrow. It's a narrow pathway, but I see it.
Okay.
Surprisingly, NFL Network does their game picks. They do it every game all year long. Surprisingly, it was like I think they have 8 guys picking games, the Bucky Brooks and Adam Ranks and guys like that. Surprisingly, it was like 4 and 4. I thought it was like a consensus, like, oh yeah, everybody thinks the Eagles are going to win this game. But
I like the 49ers. I'm not an expert. I just play one on the radio. I feel like I have without having an emotional attachment to this team, I took Saturday's loss as a loss. I see the things that you're talking about. I see the things that Kyle Madsen is talking about, but I also give credit to the football team, give credit to their coaching staff to no, you're going to make adjustments here. Mm-hmm. You're going to, it doesn't mean you'll be able to beat Philadelphia. I just don't think you're going to see a repeat of what happened on Saturday night.
Beat down.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to see that. I absolutely don't think you're going to see that at all. But I also don't think you're going to see, Christian McCaffrey stuck at 24 yards. Like I think, I really hope for everybody's sake you don't see Brock Purdy, go through what he went through on Saturday night. And you work to, and that's what we talk about film. When you're playing a team that's similar, you make sure to draw hey, they're going to be different, but they do a lot of things the same. And we just went through this. Here's how we can combat the pocket from collapsing on Brock Purdy. Here's how we, find ways to get Christian McCaffrey going. With McCaffrey, I wonder and maybe this isn't even a thing, but we were talking about running those short passes, trying to, get those guys going in the open field a little bit rather than having them create something out of the backfield. I think about a score and like a shooter, like a Kyrie. Kyrie has, or you could pick any skilled scorer. Luka. They had a rough game, or maybe they've had a rough stretch. First 3 plays tonight, make sure Kyrie gets the ball. Mm-hmm. Make sure Luka gets it. Make sure let's get them the ball. They got to see the ball go through the basket.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not sit behind the 3-point line. Work the floor. Let's get you in there. That's how I look at these short passes with Christian. Let Christian McCaffrey. When you run with Alex Toussaint and he tells you to turn the speed up a little bit, he says open up. Give Christian McCaffrey an opportunity to open up. Give him an opportunity to move his legs a little bit, and I wonder if that helps translate. Hey, the line's caving in a little quick, but that's okay. I see it here. You start to see things differently because you already got a little wind behind you.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that will help them on Sunday afternoon.
That could be the case, man. I think the Niners, if they're going to win that game, they're going to have to play maybe their game of the year to stay healthy. Fantastic when he plays. I think he's really, really good when he plays. But you can't trust that right now. So, and he's a big part of what's going to happen on Sunday if he plays or not. So, one of my favorite 49er teams of
this one.
Yeah, I love this team. Okay. I love it's the story, of what's going on. One of my favorite 49er teams.
Where does this Kings team rank in terms of your favorite Kings teams of all time?
How old am I? 42. They're probably 45th.
45th.
Yeah. Certainly the most disappointing team I've ever covered in my 16 years, just without any question. And we had Michaela, who's one of the Kings, basketball communications people. She's like, are most seasons like this? And it's like, no, even the bad seasons haven't been like this. Like she was asking Sean and I, and I missed the 17 win season. I think it was 2 years. Not that wasn't the year before I started covering the team, was a year before that. So I missed that, but just like the lack of cohesiveness, I've covered a lot of bad teams with no talent, and that's not what this team is. This is a bad team with talent, and I think it's really frustrating to watch.
Why has that? You said this team has talent. Why has this been the result? 29.
I don't think anyone thought it would be this bad, but there were so many warnings about this team that we just weren't listening to. We knew it was a bad mix of players. We knew that they didn't have enough shooting. We knew that they were going to struggle defensively, regardless of how much Doug Christie wants them to play defense. They don't have a defensive roster. We knew these things going into the season. We just didn't think it would be this bad. When you mix in the injuries and just the constant step backs, the fact that Domantas Sabonis and Keegan Murray have never played together the entire season, that Zach LaVine gets healthy the day that Keegan Murray tears up his ankle. It's just one thing after another where finding any continuity is really, really difficult. You should never, ever, ever have to walk into a game relying on a second round pick and an undrafted free agent, both rookies, as your starting and backup center. That's not, and we're not talking about a top 5 pick that you're running out there and some other kid that is playing better than you thought. This is literally a second round pick and an undrafted player are your 1 and 2 at the center position. And that's just, you can't win that way. I mean, would this team look different with Valanciunas? Maybe, but at this point, I don't even know how much that would have helped. There's just too many things here that we're looking at that haven't worked out at all. And I think a lot of it comes down to spacing and just overall team chemistry, team build, which, again, it's something that these guys inherited, but it's still difficult to watch,
A little bit of a callback. Sorry, James. Talking to Dame real quick. A little callback from earlier. I have the Kansas TCU game on in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
TC has lost his mind. He has lost his mind. Darren Peterson just did something. No, he's lost his mind.
TC called us earlier and said, I'm out on Darren Peterson. Wait a minute. The Darren Peterson at Kansas who scored 30-something last night and single-handedly took that game to overtime and got Kansas a win.
He's crazy.
And to TC's credit, he was like, "Yep, that one." All right.
James, to that point though, I don't. It wouldn't have put them like over 500 or anything like that. But as opposed to 8 wins, maybe it's 12, 13 wins. The injury thing, I don't think can be overlooked. I mean, I'll put it to you like this: if you told all of us at the beginning of the season this is what the injury situation would be, we probably would have correctly picked that they win about 8 games at this point.
Yeah. I mean, the injuries, Doug Christie brings it up, and I think some people are looking at him like, come on, man, that's an excuse. Like, is it an excuse that, like, in the last couple of minutes before the season starts, you're starting small forward / power forward / only defensive player goes down? Like, and then, the Domas injury, like, we're at 7 weeks at this point. Like, it's not like these are short-term things. Like, half of the Kings roster is ineligible for postseason awards, even if they were going to get there. You can say, like, Russ keeps going out there and playing every night. DeMar keeps playing every night. But this has been a brutal situation. I mean, you had Dylan Cardwell, again, an undrafted free agent rookie, play in your first game of the season and start like within the first 5. Max Reynaud at this point, what's he at? Like 18 starts, 20 starts? Like that's crazy that you're getting this type of production out of him, number one. But number two, that's the situation that you're in. So, like, I think it's been one of those seasons where you're hoping that something good comes out of it. But I also, if I'm Scott Perry, I'm working the phones tirelessly trying to move off of any and every veteran I have. Just, strip this thing down as quickly as you can and reboot as quickly as you can. It might not take 2 years. It might take 3 years. It might take 5 years to get back to where you thought you were going. But you certainly have to start the process as quick as possible and hope that you can set up this trade deadline, can set up a better summer that can set up a different type of season next year.
So speaking of next year, we read Anthony Slater's column over on ESPN, very lengthy write-up on the Sacramento Kings and some on-the-record comments, a very on-the-record conversation with Scott Perry. The line that stood out to us, Hammer, and we really tied this into a conversation talking about the rookies, Neek, Max, who you just mentioned a second ago, and Dylan Cardwell. Slater said, according to a source, this was not attributed to Scott Perry. It was attributed to its team source that despite the start for the Sacramento Kings, Doug Christie's job is safe. Kenny and I read that the same way. We did not read that as Doug Christie is going to be the head coach next year. We read that as Doug Christie will not be fired during this NBA season. I don't think any of us ever felt that he would, but it did pose a question, whereas if Doug is not back next year as the head coach, what does what we're seeing from Max and Dylan Cardwell and to a certain degree Nick Clifford, what does that matter moving forward? Because we know Dylan and Max, we know that those are two guys that Doug really likes. If the next guy comes in and isn't a big fan of either one of those guys, like, what are we even watching right now?
Yeah, I mean, I get the question, but I mean, worst case scenario, those guys are number 11, 12, and 13 on your bench. Like, so I don't think you just throw them out. But like, look, it could work out that that's who they are anyways, right?
Sure.
Like
Sure.
that's just the nature of the game, right? As of right now, we think Max Reynaud has, played himself into some sort of role moving forward, that we can see the outlines of Dylan Cardwell, all that stuff. But I would say that these aren't Doug Christie's players alone. They are Scott Perry's guys as well. Scott is the one who drafted, who signed each of these players. And so I think that there is a future for these guys in Sacramento. It just depends on to what degree. I mean, we still don't know. It's one thing to start a bunch of games on an 8-win team, right? That's what Max is doing at this point.
Mhm.
It's a whole other thing to start or to earn rotational minutes on a 40, 50 win team. It's a totally different game. So I think he showed enough to tell me that, like, look, he is probably a rotational player in the NBA. Whether he's a starting center or not, like, you got a couple of years to develop him, and before we really have to, like, put that under a microscope. Even if he starts next season, like, the whole year, let's say that Domas isn't here and he starts the entire season, it still, we don't know that that's who he is as an NBA player, because I would expect next year's team, if Domas, if DeMar and some of these other veterans aren't around, Zach LaVine aren't around, like, that's probably going to be a 20 to 30 win team. So, without, finding a whole bunch of players to come on board and right the ship here, I would expect next year's season to be pretty similar and pretty rough, just without as many veterans hanging over your head, and without the cap flexibility. I mean, the cap restraints that you have at this point.
Mm.
Like, that's what this trade deadline has to be about right now. It's got to be, I know some people aren't going to like it that, maybe it's not Zach LaVine that goes, but it's guys like Malik Monk, or it's guys like, Dennis Schroeder, or, guys like Keon Ellis that are moved at the deadline. Like, whatever you can do to free up space is what you have to do at this point. You've got to reset this thing, and you've got to get it to a point where you have just, like, this freedom to go out on the open market. And, again, if you can't sign a really good free agent, or 3 really good free agents, maybe what you can do is take on 2 or 3 bad contracts from another team, from multiple teams, and take in draft capital and rebuild your roster and your war chest that way. There are a lot of ways to build and to rebuild and to, restock a team. And the Kings are going to need every single one of those avenues moving forward. So that's why, again, like I brought it up earlier, and just sort of the fake trades that we like to do on the insiders, but, a fake trade that could look more realistic is Malik Monk going to Minnesota for Mike Conley and Rob Dillingham. Like, that just makes too much sense for both teams. Like, Malik would help them win right now. He would help them win more games right now. And you could buy out Mike Conley, but the key is you're losing 10 million, 15 million in cap space, and you're gaining a guy who was a number 8 pick in the draft last year. So almost like another first round pick that you're at least looking at. And, if the Kings are going to do that with, kick the tires, really, really kick the tires on a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, you should also be kicking the tires on a guy like Rob Dillingham, on players like that who just haven't found their way in the NBA on a really good team. And, maybe you do strike gold. Maybe you do find your, I'm not going to say Rob Dillingham's going to become the next Shea, but maybe you find a guy who can develop and grow. And that's where the Kings need to be right now. They need young players. They need assets. And if they're dealing with a team that doesn't have assets, that doesn't have, like, draft capital, but they do have young players that aren't getting any burn, go ahead and take a gamble on some of these guys.
That would be exciting if a trade like that happened. Be able, because I'm very I don't necessarily think they're going to be able to move a veteran or a guy like Malik Monk, to get a young player the caliber or with the potential of a Rob Dillingham. But if they're able to, and that'd be exciting. You know what I mean? To be able to move off one of the older guys, one of the bigger contracts, and bring a guy in that, like you said, was a top 10 pick a year or two ago and has a lot of upside. Like, that's almost an ideal situation.
Yeah, and, like, look, we've talked about this a bunch of times. Like, we need something to, like, watch in the second half of the season. Like, everyone would be glued in. Like, hey, let's see what this kid has. I mean, this is a top tier prospect that just, again, for whatever reason, hasn't figured out how to play in Minnesota, how to crack their rotation. And sometimes that happens with a really good team. Like, there are guys like Keegan Murray that walk in the door and going to start for a really good team. Of course, that wasn't a really good team the year before. It just ended up being a really good team with Keegan as a rookie. But now what you're looking at with Minnesota, they just have too much depth at his position. And, not only that, like, I think you can expand that trade and you can maybe get another asset out of that team by moving Keon Ellis in that trade as well. So they can try to replace some of the players that they lost during the offseason. And, there's a possibility here that you might be able to get a second-round pick or 2 second-round picks or a late first-round pick, something like that, out of a team like Minnesota, who, again, went to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row and is sitting here watching the Oklahoma City Thunder, who looked absolutely unbeatable and like a team of, destiny, 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden looks very mortal. And so, like, yeah, why not load up? Why can't it be a team like Minnesota? They shouldn't just, say, oh, we lost, Alexander Walker during the offseason or whatever, whoever it was that they lost, and say, oh, like, we're not going to be that good at it, that as good as we were last year. It's like, no, they can still make moves. Keon Ellis would help that team.
Games out of the second seed, by the way.
Yeah.
24 and 13.
Yeah. Malik Monk would help that team. And if you're looking at this, it's not only like, if there's one team in the West that everyone is afraid of, is there a team in the East that anyone's afraid of? Like, if you can get through the West,
Pistons.
and it might not take, well, maybe, but like in a 7-game series in the finals, yeah, not really.
Cade is terrifying right now. That
Mm.
boy's balling.
Yeah. So, like, look, I think that there's a pathway here that teams are looking at it. I don't think the NBA looks like the NFL landscape right now, where it's a wide open Super Bowl race. But I certainly think that there was a time where again, the Rams looked like a team of destiny, a team that was going to roll through everybody and like the best team in football. And they don't look that way anymore. And I kind of feel like the same with OKC. There's at least a little bit of doubt about how good they are and about how far they can go. And I also look at the window that Minnesota is dealing with. Their window is probably 2 or 3 years, and that's all you got. And those 2 or 3 years, you're going to have to go up against OKC. You're going to have to go up against Houston. You're going to have to go up against San Antonio. And then you're going to watch those teams ascend while you're trying to figure out what's next. The post Julius Randle, the post, Rudy Gobert, like, look of what that team will look like. And, they might have Ant-Man, they might not. But for right now, like, that's a team that probably should go for it and push all their chips in on a season like this.
For those that aren't hip, 29, 37, 40, 33, 32, 37, 39, 26, 36. What are those? Those are Cade Cunningham's point totals the last 9 games.
Hey, and he averaging like probably 2 blocks a game.
Yeah, man, he is.
Oh, he's really good. Yeah.
Nasty. Doubled. He had a 17 assist game in there. He's had double-digit assist games in over half of those games I just read off. He had an 18 free throw, very Shea-like effort against the Miami Heat on New Year's Day for Cade Cunningham. That entire Minnesota thought centered on Malik Monk. And I'm going to ask a question. Why isn't Malik Monk playing? I'm going to ask a different question. Are we going to find out why Malik Monk isn't playing the day after he's traded? Because it feels like there's something here. And I'm going to ask you to hold off on that answer, James, because that answer is probably going to be more than a minute long. So we'll step out. We'll come back. Hammer, I want to ask you about last night's game and why that second half went the way that it did, why that fourth quarter, particularly the final couple of minutes, went the way that it did. And then we'll get your thoughts on Malik Monk and the DMPs that he's wrapping up. So we got more with our insider from the Insiders. It's James Ham with DLo KC here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. James Ham with us here on this Wednesday. It's DLo KC here on ESPN 1320. I want to get to last night's game, but Hammer, you were talking about Minnesota a minute ago and how an acquisition of Malik Monk could be really solid for them. And you've done some reporting recently. There have been some murmurs around Minnesota and their interest in Malik Monk. And of course, Malik another DNP last night, and I think that's his second in a row. And his time as a Sacramento King is figuratively over. Like, he might play, he might step on the floor again, but his time of having a role on this basketball team is likely done. How did we get here? Like, how did we get here so quickly?
Yeah, it's one of the more bizarre twists and turns. I don't know. We haven't reached this stage yet, but it almost feels a little bit like Rashawn Holmes. Where Rashawn was like such a huge part, the like fan favorite. Everything's going great. Everything's going great. Signs a contract, comes back, and then oh nope, see ya. Just stuck in neutral. Can't get off the bench. They gave his starting position away when they acquired Domantas Sabonis, and it was just a matter of time before he was gone. I don't know how, again, Malik has a big personality. I think we all know that. He's got a big personality on the court. He's got a big personality off the court. He's a fan favorite because of that. But sometimes that doesn't always play out well when things are going like really bad for a team. And, the Kings have a ton of guards. And I know people don't want to hear it. That Russell Westbrook and Dennis Schroeder and, Zach LaVine are ahead of him in the rotation, but they are. I mean, that's the honest answer. And, for that matter, when the Kings were able to shift Keegan Murray to the small forward position, that pushed DeMar DeRozan into the backcourt. And he basically just took the minutes that Zach LaVine would have taken out of that backcourt. So at one point this season, we have everybody upset because Keon Ellis isn't playing. Another point this season, we have everyone upset because Malik Monk isn't playing. Now Monk is, on the bench. Keon is playing. And, again, it's because they think the other players are better suited for what they're trying to do. And I know we can say, well, you got 8 wins, you got to try something different. They've tried just about everything, and Malik's been a big part of the rotation at times this season. I'm kind of caught off guard that it's gone this south this quickly as well. But let's not forget, like, they shopped him and tried to trade him all off season. They literally were trying to move him for Jonathan Kuminga up until the day the season started, or whatever the date was that Jonathan Kuminga signed his extension with the Warriors. So we should have, again, saw this coming. And I'd say this too, it's kind of a bummer because I think Malik really found a home here, and there's a lot of things that he loves about Sacramento. He's bought property here and a home here. He loves to golf. There's a lot of things about Sacramento that Malik loves and that he wants to be a part of. But just because you want to be part of something doesn't mean that the new regime that's here in Sacramento wants you to be part of that. And there is some baggage from last season and the season before and how things played out with Malik. And I don't think that that's really helped him in this situation. So I hope that they're able to find him a soft landing spot. I really wish that it would have been different here and that, like they would figure out a way for him to be back in the rotation playing the 24 to 28 minutes a night, because I think he is dynamic. I think he's fun. I think he gets a crowd into it. But I also, at the end of the day, I understand that you probably can find a cheaper version of Malik Monk, and that having an $18 million 6-man is a luxury for a good team. It's not something a rebuilding team typically has. And so the Kings are probably going to go in a different direction here. And look, we think like it's very possible that Malik, they can find a taker for him between now and February 5th. And he's part of this team going into the summer. And maybe there's a way in which he works his way back into good graces and finds himself back in the rotation and back on the court. But for right now, the reality is he's the 5th guard, and sometimes the 6th guard. And that's just, you don't spend that kind of money on a player that's fringe rotation for you at this point.
Man, so many things that go on with that situation, because it kind of goes back to what we talked about on the handoff yesterday, in my opinion, is they're not trying to win basketball games. Maybe Doug is. Maybe Doug is out of the loop.
Doug is.
Yeah, maybe Doug is out of the loop of what others want to do there. Maybe he's not. I don't know. But there's no way. Like Malik Monk, he's not the difference between 8 wins and 30 wins right now. But he's better than Keon Ellis. Like he's a better basketball player than him. He gives you a better chance to win games. He's better than Dennis Schroeder. I know you got to play Dennis to a certain degree because you signed him in the offseason, but he's better than Nick Clifford. I know Nick Clifford plays a couple of different positions, but not playing Malik Monk and still having the same outcomes that you're having regularly, whether you're losing close or getting beat by 40, you can't be telling me that you're trying to win games. Like that's what I'm saying. They don't have to come on these airwaves or put it in a Slater article for me to see what really you're not trying to win. You can't be. You're not putting your best foot forward.
I would say this, like Dennis Schroeder's a better natural point guard. He is. He's a better floor general than Malik. He's a better defender than Malik. Keon Ellis is a better 3-point shooter. He's a better defensive player than Malik Monk. Like there are certain situations in which, again, this isn't to disparage Malik Monk. I think he's an excellent player, but there are certain players that, need the players around them to be good. And I think that's kind of like you're watching a team that like finding success and finding the right mix. It's not like Malik changed the mixture of the players on the court and helped them win more games. And, like I get that Doug Christie's asking for defense. And if Malik's not going to go out there and play defense like Keon Ellis, then he's going to find himself outside the rotation. And like we can talk about whether Keon has been incredible or not, but even last night, what he ends up with 5 points on 2 of 8 shooting, something like maybe he had 7 points. But he also had 3 steals and 2 blocks. And he was disruptive. He probably had like 5 or 6 deflections last night where, I mean, you guys saw it even late in the game. He had a deflection where he knocked the ball out of bounds on the baseline. Like he can be impactful in that way. And when that's what the standard is, that's what you're trying to do. And when you're going out there and starting a rookie center who has deficiencies on the defensive end, and you need to slow down the opposition and not let them get to the basket. Like, look, I think that, again, if Domantas Sabonis and Keegan Murray are healthy and playing every game this season, number one, the Kings don't have 8 wins. They've got a lot more than 8 wins. But also having those 2 players helps you have a player like Malik Monk on the court where he just goes out there and is instant offense and is running up and down the court doing crazy things but isn't playing that much defense. When you pair Malik with the rest of the guys on this roster and you start looking at how many non-defensive players they have, it does make sense that you would choose a defender over him, and that you would choose 2 defenders over him. I don't think Dennis Schroeder's a great defender, but, throughout his career, he's been league average, maybe a little bit better at times. Either way, he's a better defender than Malik. And, when you're trying to keep opposing teams off of your rookie center and out of the middle of the key, and you're trying to disguise that you have a 37-year-old, starting small forward and a 38-year-old starting point guard, or what are they, 36 and 37? Maybe that's right. You do need defensive players around those guys. So again, I see some of the logic of it. I also understand how Malik is a phenomenal player, and I would have him on the court as well. But I think there's give and take here. And unfortunately for Malik, it's come down to, are you better? Are you better than the players that you're behind? And I don't think the answer is yes. And I'll even add this, like we can talk about Russ all we want. Like there are things that Russell Westbrook, he does that drive me bonkers. Like the hesitation on the 3-point shot, all that, like, what are you doing? I'm not quite sure what's happening there. But like when he doesn't just play within the flow, it does get crazy. But when you're down Domantas Sabonis, who's the best rebounder in the NBA, and you're down Keegan Murray, who is your second best rebounder for huge stretches of the season. Both of them have been missing for a huge portion of the season. And you have a guy like Russell Westbrook, who, whether you play him, 25 or 35 minutes, is going to go out there and get you 7 or 8 rebounds a game from the point guard position. It's out of necessity. A lot of what we're seeing is out of necessity. Again, Russell Westbrook is a much, much better rebounder and assist guy than Malik Monk. I think Malik's a better scorer at this point in his career. But just as that part of it, you have to look at some of the cause and effect of the injuries that you've had this season. And, I think it plays into it as a huge portion of why we're seeing Doug Christie make some of the decisions that he is making.
And real quick, not because I understand, Hammer. I get it. I completely get it. I understand. I'm just playing maybe devil's advocate, even though he doesn't need any more advocates. For those that want to see Malik out there, not having him play has not worked at all. Like, the people that you've put in for him have not made the situation any better.
Mm-hmm.
You're still getting beat by a combined 60 points in 2 games in LA. Like, you're uncompetitive against the Celtics, against the Pistons. Like, that would be probably their argument, right? Like, everything in theory is 100%. Like, I get it. But after, we're talking about a month at this point where Malik hasn't really been playing, you still stink. You're not even close to being good.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you not playing this guy? You already went through it. I understand. I'm just saying, like, that's probably the thought for some people. It's like, all that makes sense. You're right, but that's not. You're not getting the results out of this change.
Well, no, I get you, but Malik's played 21, like almost 22 minutes a game in 29 games this season. It's not like he didn't play, or it's not like that he was so good when he did play that you have to keep playing him. Everybody on this team, in my opinion, that like everybody who has played has had horrible stretches. Even DeMar DeRozan's had a handful of games where it's just like, what is happening? But for the most part, he's been the most consistent player on this roster. And, that's something. That's why he stays in the rotation. He is a guy who can close in the fourth quarter and stuff like that. But look, I think a lot of it is circumstantial. And also I think a lot of it, just so people know, some of the time it's how you handle the losing and how you handle what's going on. Because, there are guys that we always talk about are pros and handles everything, like they're the guy in the locker room that everyone goes to when they have trouble and stuff like that. I think Malik is a really, really fun dude. And when things are good, it's really good with Malik. I also think we all have friends that we know that are the life of the party. And we also know the dark side to those people. And so when things aren't going good, there can be issues, especially with people who run hot and cold like Malik does. And so I think we will have more on this as we get closer and closer to him not being a Sacramento King, and certainly after the fact that if he is no longer a King. But at the same time, I'd tell you, like, there are enough murmurs that it just, like, the losing, it wears on everybody, but it wears on some people in a different way. And those people can wear on everybody when things go south. And so I would kind of start to put Malik in some of that category, that just like handling the losing has not been easy.
Head over to ESPN1320.com and enter to win 2 single-day passes to the Sportsman's Expo at Cal Expo, Thursday, January 15th through Sunday, January 18th. Again, that's over at ESPN1320.com. This also, it sounds like you mentioned, Hammer, that like you reminded us that the Kings tried to shop Malik Monk all off season. This very much sounds like a Scott Perry thing, and you can correct that if I'm wrong, but this very much sounds like a Scott Perry thing, and maybe his first order of business was like, let's get Malik out of here. Casey, you said something the other day. I'll tie this together, I promise. You said something yesterday about the clock. Maybe the clock hasn't started, or you could prolong. this Dennis Schroeder signing has been a failure. And it's been a failure in my estimation for multiple reasons. One is the domino effect of Malik Monk. Two, you can give me that BS line about you didn't know if you were going to sign Russell Westbrook. That's fine, man. If I knew and you didn't, I don't know. Like, I want a pay raise because our sentiment never changed. And I'm not willing to say that the clock hasn't started. Like, he had that's a miss. The Dennis Schroeder signing is a miss, and there was a domino effect to that miss. You switched him out of the starting lineup pretty quickly, put Russell Westbrook there, but then, Hammer, as you pointed out immediately, there was this issue in the backcourt. There was this logjam because you had to deal with DeMar DeRozan. We thought Malik Monk was going to wind up being, or we thought maybe Keon Ellis was going to wind up being a casualty. Now you got this Malik Monk situation. I don't even know what the point of this statement was, other than to say I think Scott Perry missed on the Dennis Schroeder signing, and he seems to be the one who spearheads this Malik Monk situation.
And combining that, you think, and I'm not going to argue, you think his clock has started because of that Schroeder signing.
I don't even know what that means. Like, it's a miss for me. He doesn't get a pass for that. It's a miss for me, whether the clock has started or whatever. Like, you missed with this. It was a miss.
So first off, while we're sitting here, I just realized that both of you guys are wearing like cream colored sweatshirts and I'm wearing a black sweatshirt, and I look like a reverse Oreo smashed in the middle with your clothing here.
Well, you do anyway. I love no matter what clothes we have on.
It doesn't matter what James is wearing.
I love that James just noticed that.
That would be a regular.
Wait, yeah, right.
Look,
also, I love James was with us earlier. Didn't know we have the same color pants on too. Like, it's pretty embarrassing when we're in the office together.
You're twinsies.
Not a good look. Not a good look for you boys today.
We talked about this before the season started. I kept saying, like, you cannot sign Russell Westbrook if you still have all these guys on the roster. If not, it's just not a good use of assets. Like, this was always going to be the case. Someone was going to lose. And I think some of us thought right away it would be Keon. Others thought it would be Malik. And the answer, to be honest with you, they both lost. They both lost their spot in the rotation, in the growth of this team, and what this team was supposed to be. And I think the bigger travesty here is not, the individual players as much as it is, you chose a 31, 32-year-old and a 37-year-old over a 25-year-old and a 27-year-old. And, it's not just that the Kings are the second oldest team or the third oldest team. They are, like, the minutes distribution says that they're like the oldest team at like 29.6 years of age. Like, they're playing more old players, more minutes than any team out there. And, like, look, you are going to lose no matter what. One of those guys, both of those guys. And the fact is, you've lost them both, because I'll keep saying this. Keon Ellis is not signing back. I don't like, and if he does, it's because the Kings have to overpay him egregiously on, like, as soon as he's available for an extension. I don't think either one of those things are going to happen. And I honestly don't believe he'll be on this team when we get past the trade deadline, because I think the Kings already understand that. I think they've already got the memo from Keon and his people that, like, look, this ship has sailed. Like, because he's behind the eight ball, and he's not getting the minutes that he wants, or that realistically he's earned and deserves over the last couple of years. But that's what happens. There's always going to be players that get lost when you switch, when you switch head coaches, when you switch general managers. There are people that are super attached to one group and then another. And that's why, like, at the NBA level, you really have to be careful about how, the whole grass is greener thing that De'Aaron Fox talks about. I think there are people here in Sacramento that thought the grass would be greener without Mike Brown. And I think that they're learning very, very quickly and in a harsh way that they were wrong. that they probably should have been on board with Mike and helping Mike get the team right last season, as opposed to helping Mike leave the building. And, that's just, I think, I've been through this too many times. Doug Christie is a 10th head coach I've covered. He won't be the last head coach that I cover, most likely. And look, there's always players who think that, it's going to be better when we go a different direction. And then they find the harsh reality afterwards, because the Mike Brown firing leads to the De'Aaron Fox trade, leads to Wes Wilcox walking out the door and Monty McNair getting fired. That's what happens in these situations. And I've seen it too many times. And it's like, hey, what's going to happen with Dave Yeager? Dave Yeager is going to get fired at the end of the season, and things could spin out of control. It's what happens. And to not be able to predict something like this is, and we've seen it too many times. Fool me once, this is like, we've been fooled 7 times, fooled 8 times.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
No.
The fact that we had an extended conversation on that statement earlier this week is funny. We only have a couple of minutes left. How bad were those final few possessions for Sacramento last night?
It's just such a bummer, because they just don't know how to help each other succeed. At the end of the day, basketball is it's a 5-man game, and you have to work together. Everything has to work together for you to find success. And for whatever reason, this team fights against itself every step of the way. And watching the last 5 minutes of that game, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you want to look at, it just looks like so many other 5-minute blocks of time for this team throughout the year. And, I think what frustrates people like Doug Christie and even, fans that go to every game, or people who cover the team, it's that the same team that came out against the Milwaukee Bucks and for 6 minutes looked like world beaters, and, going on like a 14-0 run and erase the deficit and get the game within 3 points, is the same team that turns around and loses that same exact game by 18 points. And it's just like, there is no rhyme or reason to the selfishness and the, realistically, the basketball as a collective, the basketball incompetence of this team. I don't know how to express it any other way. You have teams on the ropes and you can't put them away, but also you lose by 40 all the time. You lose by 30 all the time. This team has lost by 20 more than any other team in the league, I'm pretty sure. And if not, it's the second most. That's just, you're not cohesive. You're not a unit. You're not playing together. And that's what I mean by incompetence. I don't think anyone is an incompetent person or an incompetent player, but as a group, if they were working a construction site, they would have got fired on day one. They would have been the one who puts in a concrete slab that slopes a -4 inches from one end or one corner to the next. You would have been like, hey, that's unacceptable work. We now have to tear all that out. You're all fired. That's how they play together. And it's really unfortunate to watch, but it's the 2025-2026 Sacramento Kings.
Scott Perry is that construction site supervisor. Let's get all these guys out of here.
Yeah, he needs to start firing people, figuratively, of course.
Yeah.
What's the next game? Is it Warriors?
Friday, I think. Yeah,
Friday
in Chase. Yeah. All right. You mentioned something about the beam a minute ago.
Yeah. So,
other than it's in hiding,
it was. I was just gonna mention something, and then it was related to. I saw it as a tweet, and now the tweet people have found the tweet, and it's starting to buzz.
Oh boy,
starting to buzz.
Is it a tweet from you?
Tweet from me.
Oh boy.
Did you see what the Rockets did last night?
Mr. Viral all of a sudden. I don't
What did they do?
think so.
Trash.
Well,
That's what they
because
did.
what I saw yesterday was a video. Kevin Durant
I
hits
saw
the
KD
button,
hit the
and then the scoreboard just starts to light, or not light, smoke.
Yeah.
There's smoke coming out the scoreboard.
And there's a button. Basically, they're doing their post game light the beam situation. and it's set the scoreboard on fire or whatever. I don't know what the hell they're calling it. But anyway, I saw it and I said, this is garbage. This is trash.
Liftoff, maybe?
Maybe, I don't know. But
it says they're launching a rocket.
All right, man. They're launching trash.
Yeah,
That's
unless
what
there's
they're
a real
doing.
rocket. I'm not interested.
But I saw that and I was like, oh, that's trash. And I said something to the effect of,
Okay, so I absolutely think that's what that is.
the smoke.
I think it's supposed to be like the like. Let me see if I can hear the sound, because the way the smoke comes down, it looks like a rocket. Obviously, it's not moving; it's a scoreboard, but it looks like it's all right. Liftoff. I don't know.
No, you're right, and that is garbage. That's trash.
Oh no, I absolutely think that's what that
They did a
is.
horrible job. They did an
Well,
absolutely horrible job.
So this happened.
Like it's just you just hit the pyro, bro. Like, oh yeah, John Cena's coming out now. Like, this is stupid. Goldberg. Oh, that's what that is. That's what that is.
Hey, this is awful.
Did
This
you
is awful.
see the Spurs thing?
Yes. So that goes into like, so I tweeted out, I said, the beam has really changed. And I didn't think nothing. I was just saw this and I was like, this is trash. I said, the beam has really changed the NBA, and all these copycat force gimmicks are trash. Haven't seen a good one yet. And people in San Antonio have found the tweet. Well, nobody cares about the Kings. Please, the drum, that's garbage. It's garbage. All right. This little liftoff or Goldberg, whatever you want to call it, it's trash. If somebody comes up with a nice little celebration afterwards, it's good. I will say that it is good. I will give you the credit for like, that's creative. That's a good one right there. I still love the beam.
Shout out Brittany. Brittany says it's hilarious watching the Spurs fans act like Houston is copying them. That's a good reply right there.
Right. I saw that one too. And they're trash. The beam, it changed the game. It changed the game in the NBA.
So I agree. I absolutely agree.
Houston's got to get one of those toy rockets at least and set that off.
Yeah,
bro.
So what if? Do you think Rockets fans, like, and this is a winning basketball team, do you think Rockets fans are like, hey, this is kind of dope? Or do they look at this like, man, this sucks? Why don't we shoot a rocket into the sky every time we win?
Fireworks or something.
Like, can we get a fake rocket to shoot off the top of our building, like a hologram rocket or something?
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. And I know the Kings didn't start it in all of sports, right? You got the fly the W with the Cubs. You've got, I think the actual like beam situation was something the Angels were doing years ago. And the Kings kind of got the, idea and said, hey, let's do our spin of it. But if I was the Rockets or the Spurs, I'd be embarrassed, or a Spurs fan. I'd be embarrassed for this, not for my basketball team, but for this. So like, bro, we're clearly trying to piggyback off something Sacramento started and popularized.
If you're gonna do it,
I'd be embarrassed. I'd be like, nah, this a bad look, guys. Don't do this.
Can I have what will clearly be an unpopular take?
Yeah.
I don't. It's.
No, don't say.
Let me think this through.
Don't say it's good.
It's not. It's not.
I don't hate that teams driving their own thing, but you got to probably do it a little bit better than just, oh yeah, there's smoke coming out the scoreboard.
That's
kind of. So
what I said.
I kind of like the Spurs one.
I think that's whack.
I think it's cool, and I think it gives people a reason to stay. I mean, the beam does too.
Mm.
I don't know if the little rocket smoke is going to get people to stay or not, but there's super crowd participation with this.
But they kind of jacked that from the Vikings.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Like,
yeah, but the
there's
Vikings
no
jacked that from
like.
someone
How many
too.
original ideas are there?
There's
like-
not a lot, but the people who made it popular deserve that credit. So, like I said, the Kings.
Well, what do you want Wemby to do? Like, hey,
go
thanks,
into the locker
Minnesota.
room?
What?
Go to the locker room. Look, you guys didn't come up with the first.
Nah.
What, you want to put a churro on
So
the
they-
sky?
so
You
they-
can do that.
I don't know. That felt racist. I don't think it was,
No,
but it kind
Charles
of
Barkley, that'd be hilarious.
That was Charles.
kind of felt inappropriate.
Everybody get your churros out.
So they said it's a countdown. Oh, man.
Nah, look,
I
you
don't
just
know.
you gotta chalk it up to where, like, damn, we didn't think of that first. All right,
I don't
we
think
lost
you
that
have
one.
to, because I
We lost that
disagree.
I think KC
disagree.
Or
should
be
match it to the
really good.
Spurs. you got to be nice to the Spurs, but we got to hate on the Rockets. Like the Spurs, like that's not the Vikings thing. The Vikings stole that from someone.
Okay, they've got to do better. The countdown to the rocket lifting off, and then like a little puff of smoke coming
How
out.
about hitting the button? That's the same thing as hitting the beam.
Yeah, get a switch.
It's a rocket launch. You gotta have more smoke though. This isn't enough smoke. Like it's just like a little puff of smoke comes out. It's like it's a rocket lifting off. Like create like a full experience.
Both of them are trash. I'm not feeling the Spurs one either.
And really what you have to do too. And I don't know if KD did this. I don't think he did. Let me watch this real quick. I don't think that he did, but it's hard to tell. Like count down.
Yeah, get the little
do the full
just
gimmick.
walking over there and
He's like, all right, guys, we won. And like KD's the worst to get involved because he tries to get into it like, hey. He probably was only really into it because he hates the sun so much. Like, hey.
The least you could do is go outside real quick and launch a bottle rocket or something like that. Just do something.
Let me see if I can find it. Does it have
well the rocket
does it have is it Rockets Liftoff? Does it have a name?
I don't know. They just said new year, new celebration.
It's time for liftoff.
All right.
Okay, hold on.
All right, Buzz Lightyear.
So hold on. Okay, wait a second.
This thing sucks.
No, hold on. Oh, hell no.
What you see?
So I'm gonna tag Jesse. What Twitter account do you have open?
I think it's ESPN's.
Man.
So KD
I got ESPN's.
KD walks over and someone is telling him, hey, you gotta, I'm assuming she's saying you gotta press this button. He's looking at her like, what? You gotta press this button. And he walks over, he looks at it, and he presses the button and then points and then leaves. He hits him with the Usain Bolt and then leaves. You guys gotta see this. Watch this video. What? So no, we gotta lift off the rocket, KD. Lift off the rocket. Look, this.
He doesn't know what this is.
What? Fuck. This is terrible.
I don't even know what's going on.
This is absolutely.
Did I break something?
Yeah. Katie's like, what the hell is this?
Wait, right now, look, smoke.
Hey man, this is trash, dude.
Hey, that's awful.
This is trash,
awful, bro. Look,
you need significantly more smoke. 1, 2. Did you notice everybody left?
Nobody care, but this is trash.
Nobody knew what they were doing.
Trash.
It's like somebody came up with that idea that morning.
Look, maybe the only thing this franchise has ever gotten right is the beam.
Let's bring
That's it. They got that right. They nailed it. It's perfect. The Spurs thing, I disagree with you guys. That's trash. And that thing right there, that Rockets thing, oh, that's garbage.
No, this is garbage. Did you see the Rockets liftoff thing last night?
No.
Okay, so you gotta. Oh, we closed the video already. So the Rockets, like, they do this thing, and it looks like it was hastily planned because the PR person is grabbing Kevin Durant after he hits that dagger against Phoenix, and it's telling him, hey, you got to go over here and lift off the rocket or whatever. You're like, what? He's looking at this lady like, what, this? And like, yeah, press the button. So he presses the button, and a bunch of smoke comes out of the scoreboard, and it's their new tradition. Here it is for those that are watching. So the PR lady is telling him, and he's like, this is this. I press it, and he looks up. He's like, oh, okay, now what? Now what do I do?
Did I break something?
Like what? And KD's still looking. Again, Kevin Durant, the worst person to have do this because he doesn't give a crap. He's like, oh, okay. Got it.
This is garbage.
Yeah, man.
Garbage.
That's trash. That is so bad.
It's just a fake, like very tacky impersonation of the beam.
They all are TK. Well, there's only 2 right now. But yeah, the Spurs one is 2.
I
don't like the drum.
I don't hate the Spurs.
Let's go to the locker room.
Wemby looked like he was having fun too. And
he did.
The one that I saw, he looked like he was having fun.
Go to the locker. You got the win. Go to the locker room, bro. Dap each other up. All right.
Bro, we press a button to light a purple light in the sky.
We did it first. These orchestrated gimmicks that are clearly copying the beam. Like I said, King's got a lot of things. They get everything.
There are people
they get it all wrong, but they got that right. and people are copying it.
Yeah.
Prior to 2016.
Oh my goodness.
Goodness gracious.
You know what was going on when W was around? The Raiders were like good.
Was that W? Yeah, I guess it was. Was it?
Yeah, they were
2000. Oh my God.
Rich-
Yeah, it
Rich
absolutely
Gannon
was.
was
Yeah, it
MVP.
absolutely was.
Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You missed this one.
What year was that? 2002?
2003
The-
Super Bowl.
The
the
2002-3 season.
We broke news to Jesse, to young Jesse,
Okay.
when you were gone. We went down this rabbit hole of like just weird story Super Bowl, and he didn't know about Baron Roberts.
Oh yeah, I didn't know about the guys that disappeared and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The morning of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That is
Wow.
one of the No, that has to be the craziest morning of
Well, the reason why it came up because it was one of two.
okay.
And I think it is the craziest,
Okay.
but the other was Eugene Robinson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Tried to pick up a prostitute
No.
before the Super Bowl. You're playing.
What? He was nervous. What you want him to do?
And then there's another
Are any of those
where somebody wasn't playing in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. But it's okay now. He's a man of God, so it's
He was
fine.
at the game with Michael
Of course
Irvin.
he was. Nothing happened. Like I'm like
You guys ever wore a white suit before?
apparently he hasn't either because no one has seen that suit since that night.
Oh man.
Okay, I'll say it. We ostracized OJ for all of these years, and Ray Lewis is just on our TV every damn week.
Well, they said OJ did it. Ray never was found guilty, I guess.
Well, neither was OJ.
That's true. That's true. But he robbed people after that.
Hey, they didn't find OJ's murder weapon. They didn't find Ray Lewis's suit. You know what? If OJ had said, man, you know what? I'm dedicating my life to God, would the NFL would have been like, hey, happy birthday, OJ Simpson.
Would he be on the sidelines of the USC games?
Man.
He already was. Damn near feels like he was at the Bills games in the suites.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Bro, he was on Twitter. Hey, Twitter world, it's OJ here.
He was on Cam and Mace.
He was a weekly guest. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, brother.
Johnny G said couldn't make it 2 episodes into the new year before OJ Simpson was mentioned.
Oh, man.
Well,
But yeah, the Raiders were good.
are either of those, or not either? I guess that's 1, 2, 3 you just named. Well, 4, counting that one. Are any of those weirder than Laramie Tunsil?
Oh, that was bizarre.
The gas mask story?
Oh,
he used to
yeah.
be the number 1 pick in the draft.
He fell like he lost millions
Wasn't it-
upon millions of dollars.
Wasn't it hours before the draft?
Yeah.
Hours? It was minutes.
Oh my gosh.
It was minutes before the draft.
I'd say the Super Bowl. I don't know because I don't know like how big those stories were.
Bear
The Super Bowl
Robbins was the
stories, I
one.
feel
That-
like would be bigger.
Starting center goes
Missing.
missing the morning
Yeah.
of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That and like we don't know where he's at. What do you mean you don't know where he's at? We don't know. Jeremy Tunsil's that was crazy. though.
I think I'd put Laramie Tunsil second. In terms of
Yeah.
weirdness, I'd put him second.
Eugene Robinson.
Hey, look, Eugene.
Eugene Robinson is crazy.
It is. Listen, you.
I mean, I'm assuming he went to jail. I'm assuming that's what happened. He went
Oh.
to jail for picking up a prostitute, an undercover cop, the night before the Super Bowl.
Well, it happened to Hugh Grant.
This
Did it
isn't
happen to-
Detroit, man.
Did it happen to Eddie? Did Eddie get caught with a?
Oh, that's a good question.
It definitely happened with Hugh Grant. I
It was
can't
more in
remember
depth
that.
of the doc. We
Well,
wouldn't know.
I knew they weren't going to cover. I feel like Eddie also might have picked up a specific type of.
They should have done
Murphy.
a whole 15 minutes on Eddie when he would go to the Bel Air and Rush River. I would have liked to seen that in Green Haven. Hey, that's Eddie Murphy.
I think Eugene Robinson played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he got burnt for an 80-yard touchdown by Rod Smith.
See, that's why you listen here. Look, Eugene
Was charged with solicitation.
is understandable. If nothing else,
Who's not
it's
had a
like-
bad night in Miami?
it's like, all right, okay, okay. When you compare it to the other two,
Good
one
point.
guy disappeared. The other guy literally takes they don't know it's me, and takes the mask off like, you idiot. And lost. I mean, there's a very easy way to calculate the amount of millions of dollars he lost because of that video.
Yeah, he lost a lot of money. Wasn't Alden Smith they don't know it's me or whatever? Didn't Alden Smith get in trouble on a live or whatever?
Yeah, he was. I think he was either smoking weed.
Oh,
or
I
doing
thought that was
more.
Laramie. I thought
No.
that was. Oh, maybe.
No, but Laramie. I mean, Alden didn't have a mask on.
Oh.
He was like somebody got him on the camera phone.
He wasn't on the camera, but you hear Alden Smith in the background. Oh, they can't tell it's me. They can't see me.
Yeah, yeah. He was at the crib. I think. Yeah. Damn. Yeah, that was bad. Alden. I hope Alden's doing okay to this day, because he was in some sketchy parts of San Francisco trying to get some stuff. Laramie,
Not the same stuff Eugene Robinson was trying to get.
no, that's a one of one. It feels like in the NFL, at least for the team playing in the Super Bowl.
No, it's a one of one getting caught. I very seriously doubt it's a one of one.
That's what I mean. It's I don't know. That's a tie for second.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then he played and got destroyed.
Yeah, but again, whatever.
Well, Laramie. I get it.
Well, today, serious question: would Laramie Tunsil's draft stock drop today? Same exact video, same exact timing, same exact everything. Would it drop today?
I feel like it would, because it wasn't that long ago.
Oh, it was a while ago. I mean,
10 years ago.
18, 17, I think.
It was the year the Niners got. I think they got Eric. They either got Eric Armstead or Buckner. It was that draft.
Man was getting high
2016,
through a
2016.
gas mask.
Yeah, 10
that
years
is
ago.
crazy.
I can't believe that was 10 years ago.
That's crazy. That was 10 years ago.
The 2016 draft, 13th overall.
I was about to say, where'd he go? Yeah.
He was the projected #1 overall pick. 10 minutes before the draft was set to begin, his own Twitter account showed a video of him wearing a mask and smoking from a bong.
And that was somebody did that.
Yeah. Oh
did
yeah.
that.
Like someone was out for revenge.
Who went first?
Who went first in the 2016 draft? The #1 overall pick in that draft was Jared Goff. Jared Goff went #1. Carson Wentz went #2. Joey Bosa went #3. Maybe he wasn't the projected #1 overall.
I thought he was, though, but
because
the
I
Rams
felt
were
like
gonna
Goff
draft him?
did the Rams
I thought he was projected
move
#1.
up to get Jared Goff, or did Philly move up to get Carson Wentz?
I think Philly moved up to get Carson Wentz.
Joey Bosa went 3rd.
He might
Maybe
have been
maybe
the first
the idea.
non-QB off the board.
Yeah, maybe the
okay.
idea was because I remember this being the Goff Wentz
Mm-hmm.
draft. Maybe the idea was he was going to be the first non-quarterback taken,
Gotcha.
and Joey Bosa was wow, man. How different would this all have been if Laramie Tunsil did in fact go to the Chargers? Would the Cowboys have taken Joey Bosa where they drafted Ezekiel Elliott?
I was just having a conversation about Zeke yesterday.
I mean, look at the top of this draft, by the way. Goff, Wentz, Bosa, Zeke, Jalen Ramsey, Ronnie Stanley, DeForest Buckner.
yeah. What, 9, 10, 8?
That's 7. That's the top 7.
Man.
Those are the first 7 picks of the 2016 draft.
Man.
Then you get to Tunsil at 13.
And Tunsil's been like multiple time Pro Bowl,
Good.
right?
Yeah. Like he's 5-time Pro Bowler. Yeah, 5-time Pro Bowler.
He's been as advertised.
Mm, mm, mm.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Oh, I forgot about the Instagram account where they texted the text exchange with him and the Ole Miss coach. He asked the coach for money.
Oh my gosh!
It was a coordinated attack against
Wow.
Laramie Tunsil. So again, I ask, does his stock drop? Does his draft stock drop at all? If he is the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 draft, and those two instances happen in the same exact fashion, does his draft stock change?
I say yes, only because I believe the knock was more decision making as opposed to what he was actually doing. It was like, this guy doesn't make good decisions.
So if we work with the non-quarterback theory and go 3 to 13, I'll say sure it's affected, but it's affected like 3 to 6.
I can see that.
3 to 13.
I can see that.
Like in hindsight, that is crazy to me. But maybe
and he went
team
right
drafting.
Defoe, huh?
No, DeForest Buckner went
Or went
7th.
right after.
Yeah, DeForest Buckner went 7th. Laramie Tunsil went 13th. The names that I read, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
That was a nice draft.
That was very good. Anthony Slater of ESPN, all he does is write and talk about basketballs. He just wrapped up a podcast with Brian Windhurst. Hey, man, appreciate you, man. Thank you. I always get a kick out of looking at the screen and seeing your backyard. I don't know why.
Yeah, see, you guys are getting the not as great version where I'm actually inside my house with the screen door right here. I've actually got it to where when I go on TV, I'm outside with the tripod set up, so it's like a pure view of the backyard, but you can kind of see it a little bit.
I saw it yesterday on I think it was NBA Today, and you were outside, nice sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any neighbors like Wilson from Home Improvement?
I hope not.
We go for the
Yeah, there was one time that like leaf blower was going. I was like, this is not great timing, but it wasn't purposeful. If somebody started like trying to sabotage or like
we
throw
heard
some signs up or something.
So the news is out now that Luka has just been traded to the Lakers. We'll go to Anthony Slater right now, and the leaf blowers.
I mean, it'll probably happen at some point or something.
Like
one time, the closest I've come to that, I guess, one time a squirrel was like, scattering across the fence back there, and my dad saw it. I know that.
I love the idea of like Ant's neighbor being, hey, is that Anthony? Well, goes outside, looks over the fence. Oh, honey, it is. That's Anthony on TV.
That would be. It's definitely unique to ESPN, but I think soon I will actually have like more of a home studio setup than more traditional. But they've been like, it's kind of like interesting. Pop in and suddenly there's some sunniness. There's a foggy day outside, and I was like kind of reporting on like a somewhat depressing time for the Warriors. I think I remember, or I think it might have been. We were talking about Clay, like we did a Clay story and about like kind of regrets about like how the Clay Thompson thing ended, and it was like foggy behind me, and it was like, kind of fits.
It rains so many damn days in a row. No wonder you wrote a 10,000 article on the Kings.
Well, that too, but that was a good segue. Because
thank you.
Yes.
I want to point out one particular piece that one particular line in your article that Kenny and I discussed yesterday, and it was attributed to a team source, but you were talking about Doug Christie. And Doug Christie, despite this really, really bad start, being safe. I don't know what type of context you got in that conversation. Kenny and I both took that as Doug is not getting fired during this season. And we left it at that and didn't think like he's going to coach out next year or anything further. It's that there is no interest in firing Doug Christie during this season.
Yeah, and I think that's relevant because they're 8-29, and they weren't planning to be 8-29. And there's been, criticisms of certain coaching decisions. And I think, 30,000 feet view. And again, especially writing for ESPN, like this is kind of a drop in for a lot of people that aren't on the ground level, following the day to day with the Kings. I would expect you guys to understand the dynamics more at play of why Doug is safe for the rest of the season. But I think it's introducing that idea to the world that they're backing Doug Christie as of right now. I would agree with you that I'm not saying he is, and nobody is saying he is or isn't, safe in perpetuity here. And it's just like he's the permanent coach of this rebuild. But as of now, not only is he being backed, and I think what I was kind of trying to portray in the story, especially to a national audience who drops in on these Doug Christie press conferences where he's like pretty critical of his veterans, right? Like very proud, respected veterans. Like, wow, this young coach is really going after like the effort level and, this idea that they need to play, this defensive minded for the city type approach, which clearly they're trying to build around here. And it's this idea of like that this is Scott Perry is the most, powerful decision maker right now in the organization. And he's fine with this. This is how they want to build the brand of the Kings. And part of that is Doug Christie, from everything I've heard, is safe through at least the season. And I think you guys read that correctly.
So, and that's kind of like Damien said, where we left it. The other part of that is, I don't know what's going to happen in the offseason. I'll put it to you like this. I'm not confident that Doug Christie gets another opportunity after this year. From talking to Scott Perry, and we're like really dissecting that one line. But did you get the sense that with Doug Christie, Scott Perry's in this for the long haul as well?
I think that, Scott Perry, yes.
As Doug Christie being his coach.
I think it's, I think this off season will be a real test case for where everything is going. But I would look at, right, we're on the NFL week. What do they call it? Like Black Monday, where like a bunch of coaches get fired. Like, for example, Miami, who I follow the Dolphins, and Mike McDaniel in the last several weeks seems safe in Miami. That was kind of the reports. They were winning a little bit more. He was empowered to bench Tua, and all the way up until Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it was like he's safe. But then people said there was a meeting between him and Stephen Ross, and Stephen Ross left that like kind of conflicted, but finally decided, what, change is needed. And maybe that's because he's getting an indication that a John Harbaugh or something else is coming up that's more appealing. But he really didn't decide if Mike McDaniel was or wasn't the guy until Thursday of this week after the season. To my point of like, Scott Perry's in such a calm position right now. And that's one of the things I was kind of maybe hoping to reveal to a national audience that looks at the Kings and goes, oh my gosh, they must be panicking. How are they in this situation? It's like the panic was the last couple seasons and how they kind of drove this situation into a ditch. Right now, it's just an assessment mode. Everything is an assessment. Nobody's saying like, hey, your job's on the line if you do or don't make this decision. And I think, to your point about Doug Christie, he's being given a chance. This is, I think we can all be fair and say this is probably the only head coaching job he could have gotten at this stage of his career, the Kings one. Sure. And he's going to try to coach himself into this job, into the long term. And he's been given at least this runway, and we will see. I think the main thing, if you were given truth serum to Scott Perry, it would be like, we'll assess it after the season, because he's going to assess everything after the season, really.
Anthony Slater of ESPN with us here on DLo and KC. I'm going to tie this back to Sacramento, I promise. But what did you think of the news yesterday? It had gained steam for a few days.
Trae Young.
That Trae was headed out of Atlanta. Certainly, it gained a lot of steam yesterday morning that it appeared he was going to Washington, and then the deal gets announced, and it's kind of a mid-level contract player and an expiring contract and an older player in CJ McCollum. For a player who's 25-10 on his career, has been a pretty dynamic offensive player his entire career, 4-time All-Star. How did you digest that news yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the shifting dynamics of the league, but we don't that's a long conversation, right? The apron era and the idea of these monster contracts are suddenly viewed a lot more toxically than they previously were. I would say scoring guards are losing their value in the league. I think you're seeing that to a much mini degree with Malik Monk, for example, in Sacramento. And I think those are all the dynamics at play where the Hawks just wanted to get out of the contract and found some expirings to do it. The Wizards are probably entering contract rehab situation with Trae Young, maybe get a little bit more excitement there. But it was a sobering reminder or an introduction to, I think, people that, the landscape is changing around the league for several reasons. Many of them like CBA type reasons, which can be very convoluted, but it feels like a different era. I mean, honestly, if Anthony Davis, for example, gets traded over the next month, I think that return will probably surprise people.
It feels like, not that Trae Young was this perfect player by any means, but he was an all-star level guy. I talked about it earlier. There are guys who make an all-star team, and then there are all-stars. There's a difference to me. Like, you can make an all-star game here or there, but to be an all-star, we're talking multiple years of something like that. And I thought Trae Young I still do think Trae Young is one of those type of guys. But if he's not looked at as a guy that teams are willing to pay and go to the max for, is there like 7 guys in the league that they are willing to do that with now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's lessening because, it's a hindrance to have these huge money deals now, and they're tough to trade, obviously. But also, like, the Trae Young that made 4 All-Star teams, the Trae Young that took the Hawks to the finals was a more impactful player. He was scoring at a more efficient level, and the team was built better around him with like the John Collins and the pick and roll stuff and Herder, right? Like those teams were Trae Young teams, whereas this team this season, the Hawks traded him because they were 1-9 in games he played. Their defensive rating was like, 15 points worse. And this new Hawks regime that has come in, Anzi Salah, who I know from, he was in the Warriors front office, they want to be rangy, athletic, defensive minded, no weak spots to pick at. And they were winning a lot more when they were able to, Jalen Johnson's a star and it's Dyson Daniels, and they're out there just, playing their brand of basketball. And if we want to wrap it back to the Kings, it's been reported, I reported in the story, like the Kings were not in the Trae Young market. And part of that is, what type of team is Scott Perry trying to build? Rangy, defensive-minded, wings, right? He gives Keegan Murray the contract. He's interested in Kuminga. Some of these wings coming up in the draft. Like, Trae Young doesn't necessarily fit that, and I think it's fair to criticize it or wonder, like, should the league be shifting this far away from those type of scoring guards? But they are, it seems.
Now, bringing all of that back to Sacramento and Scott Perry, seeing what Trae Young got, you just alluded to what a potential Anthony Davis deal might look like. How in the world do you trade Zach LaVine?
You need a desperate team. I wouldn't predict it's going to happen. It seems like Milwaukee could be the likeliest, because you just need a team that's like, hey, you need a scorer, you need something now, you need just a shakeup, right? I think, why was Zach LaVine traded from the Bulls? Because they found a desperate team trying to resuscitate their season at a moment where there was a lot of people trying to, just survive the moment. Mm-hmm. So the Kings traded for Zach LaVine. And you could say that's kind of trending towards what's happening in Milwaukee, with them trying to save the Giannis era. Now, I think Giannis cooled temperatures talking to Sam Amick, today, but they need something, right? They're not going where they need to. Clearly, Giannis wants to at least be in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And I'm not saying Zach LaVine is the answer, but they kind of got to be bargain bin shopping with what they're going to be offering, which is Kuzma, Portis type numbers. So that's a theoretical fit, but if I'm being honest, Zach LaVine will probably be a lot easier to trade as an expiring this summer into next season than he is right now.
Which kind of leads to some of the things that we've talked about in the last few weeks. Is there's a lot of angst around here, want new players, want players out of here, want to start the new era. What was it, December 15th, all January 15th, all this other stuff. And I kind of come to the conclusion, man, that I don't think much of anything is going to happen in Sacramento here. Like, I think the contracts are too tough to move. And I think, to your point with LaVine, if anything happens, it's going to be more so in the summer than it is this trade deadline.
I think if the league wants the Kings guys, they can come get them. I think that's clear. But also, if the cost of moving off one of these contracts is a future first, why would Scott Perry or anybody making a decision about a deep, patient, multi-year rebuild do that? The most important player for the Sacramento Kings is in college, right? It's the first round. It's whoever they take with their premium 2026 lottery pick coming up. And next season,
in high school.
yeah, well, it could theoretically, but at least, in this a little bit more of like current moment for the Kings, whoever they get in the first round next year will be, the number one draw and the number one interest of next season. I think, maybe Scott Perry makes a trade this summer, even at the deadline where, you guys may ask me about Kuminga. If he's in here, people will be interested. That'll be important because that'll represent, hey, like the next wave, the Scott Perry imprint on this team. But if they're going to lose this season, probably have a really young rebuilding lottery team next season, there's not really that much motivation for him to get off these contracts unless there is an appealing offer for the contracts, because you could just eat them. You're not trying to make the playoffs. You're not trying to shift everything. Again, it'll be the depressing days of a rebuild are these type of days, are the nights where March and April this year, especially if they don't do much at the deadline, like Golden One Center is going to feel a little, fog. We were talking about the fog earlier. Like, it's not going to be beautiful to watch, but, the Thunder's rebuild, the Pistons rebuild, those days were not fun to watch for the home fans, but they're like, glad we did that. You know what I mean? So that's part of why they might not be aggressive at the deadline, because it's not like they got all these chips to go get picks or anything.
It can't be worse than what we're watching now. Obviously, we do want to get to Jonathan Kuminga, but I have a thought process I started to develop about a month ago that I'll run by you, Anthony Slater. I don't think Zach LaVine picks up that option.
What would he get as a free agent this summer?
I have no idea. He gets the hell out of Sacramento.
I actually, I live, in the Sacramento area. I like Sacramento, so I name the last city. I'll have you guys name the last city in the country or the last job, whatever, that you would work for. Like, you just don't want to live there.
Bakers.
A farm in, whatever, South Dakota.
Starksville.
If I was offering you, what is LaVine next year? Like 48 mil? Something like that? Yeah. Okay. If I was offering you 48 million to go work on a farm in South Dakota for a year, maybe I'll even trade you to a job you want in the middle of next year. Or, you can make 15 doing, going somewhere else you want. You'd probably be like, I'll take 48 and go.
But it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be 15 though. It would be maybe 15 times 3. And I think it would be closer to 25. 20 or 25 times at least 3 for Zach LaVine.
Well, that's where Rich Paul would, Rich Paul knows better than we do. And if you're correct, and that's Zach LaVine's desires, and he believes there, you don't opt out unless you know that that's there. And sure, if there is a team out there with cap space willing, but I just covered a summer where no free agent sign. Everybody extends now. There's no cap space out there. And the teams that have cap space, the Nets this summer, again, I was covering Kuminga's free agency all summer. They're just trying to drum up interest. Hey, you have some cap space. And all the Nets did was go give bad contracts and picks. They got a pick with Michael Porter, send Cam Johnson, absorbed it into their cap space, and now they're resuscitating Michael Porter and trying to trade him out. That's just how the league works, where what I think is more likely is if the Kings were desperate to get off LaVine, which again, Scott Perry's saying I'm not desperate to get off Zach LaVine, but he's the type of contract that would be traded with the first into somebody's cap space, so he can still make that money. But to your point, look, if he's so desperate to get out and he knows there's some type of $3 or $75 million offer, sure, maybe. But I'm not sure where that's coming from.
But there is another way. Scott says, hey, brother, you could pick up that option. It'll be for a year off. Okay, and I don't like that. For the record, I do not like that. But yeah, like if you said it though, that's probably a desperate move because you're damaged. You might be damaging a relationship with Rich and so on.
Pretty important relationship.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
And that's Scott's specialty, right? That's one of his real specialties. Is
sure.
Like good relationships. Yeah. Zach LaVine can score, and also like Zach. This is a great example this season. Like, is Zach LaVine leading them out of the bottom of the lottery where at this point you probably want to be? No, I mean they're not winning. It's not a great feeling to go through this, but rebuilds are painful. True rebuilds. The Kings steered themselves here. They've got to take the pain to get out of it.
Yeah. I was telling them, I don't
Yeah,
like
because this franchise knows nothing about pain.
this is new to us.
Yeah.
I don't like this new NBA. I don't like the way they maneuver the contracts and
The apron stuff just seems so over the top. I don't. It's convoluted. I get it. I get what you're saying. I think it's like taking some of the fun of transaction season. Like I think
Yeah.
this deadline might be a little bit duller than people want.
You're gonna have a hell of a time selecting all NBA players at this
Oh.
point.
With the 65 game rule.
Yeah, like Jokic gonna be
MVPs
out,
too.
Giannis gonna be out, LeBron gonna be out.
Yeah.
J Dub is out. He made it last year. He's out already.
Yeah. No, you're right. They've made a lot of random rules over the last few years, but I still think the basketball's been very good. Like the league wide nightly basketball, I love. But
The Spurs owning the Oklahoma City Thunder is one of the best storylines of the season.
that's been that 3-game stretch, and just the Thunder bleeding a little bit right now. Like I think the league kind of needed that. The West is going to be a bear. Top of the East. How about Knicks coming in here next week? Yeah, that'll be an interesting.
right.
Oh yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Oh God.
Look,
What,
I think Trae Young is coming in here the next week too. Washington coming.
Oh,
to
that's
town.
right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
What
Yep.
you when they go Knicks head coach Mike Brown next week? Do you think the fans do like the cheering for almost as a representative of like how did we get here type thing, or how do you think?
Oh yeah, no, they'll pop.
Rousing
the crowd, yeah, the
ovation.
crowd is absolutely going to
Rousing
pop for Mike.
ovation.
We talk about this all of the time. The crowd at the arena is not the same as on social media. It's not the same as God bless everyone listening and watching. Like these are the diehards of the diehards and all of that. But the people who are at the Golden One Center, they're there for a good time. And they have an appreciation, not that others don't, but they have an appreciation for this franchise and the history of this franchise. And Mike's going to get a lot of love. He's going to get a lot of love next week.
Yeah, and again, I think it's also like a little bit of a representation of like, hey, why did we do what we did? Why did we just yank out of that beam era so rapidly?
That post-game handshake might be watched a little bit. Might be watched a little bit.
I mean, that would require a handshake. You see the like game ends, like the hey. You see that sometimes.
Yeah.
Will's giving that to Bobby Jackson. Bobby, all right.
You've probably talked basketball for the last 4 hours, so we'll let you get out. Is there anything we need to keep our eyes on as far as Jonathan Kuminga? We're nearing the date that he can be traded, which is the 15th of this month, and he stays tied to the Kings. There's like a Brooklyn rumor out there. There's a Michael Porter Jr. thing out there. 3-team deals. Like there's all sorts of different things happening out there on the internet.
Yeah, I mean it's posturing season, it's intel season, it's smoke screen season. What remains true is like Scott Perry he's interested in Jonathan Kuminga. He has always wanted to get him on a bargain. And this summer the Warriors said no, right? They weren't gonna sell low on Kuminga, and everything that has happened to this moment in the Warrior season means they were gonna have to sell lower. But the one of the big questions being around the Warriors is like if they're willing to incentivize the Kuminga contract, attach to first, and go try to get somebody with that number, then they you could shop in some different aisles if it's him and 2 first-round picks. If it's a post Steph Curry era first-round pick, that's gold in this league, right? I want the Warriors 2029 unprotected first.
Yeah.
So you could go do that, but are they willing to do that? That's a big question. Do they get in the bigger ticket item, the Davis type conversation? We'll see. The one thing the Kings have going for them is they are the most interested in Jonathan Kuminga. There's people in the league are like, that's theoretically an expiring deal. It's a flyer on a young wing. I think the Kings more than other teams are like, no, we really want to like give this guy a runway, and that's done. One thing I know for them is like Jonathan Kuminga is very interested in that idea. I mean, we've reported like Scott Perry went down to Miami this summer, generated a relationship with him. He did a Zoom call with Doug Christie on it. Like he's very receptive to the idea of being a Sacramento King. But there's roadblocks, and some of those roadblocks is how uninterested the Warriors are in the Kings offered assets. And, Scott Perry's sitting there going, hey, that protected first this summer's not even on the table currently. And we'll see, what the Warriors end up doing. But right now they're not just going to take something to take something. They're saying they're willing. I reported it yesterday, right? They're saying they're willing to take it past the deadline. That clearly isn't the preference. There's so many personal dynamics at play in that organization right now, beyond Kuminga, that's not ideal if he's still sitting there rotting on the bench on February 8th. So we will see, but he's certainly could be a Sacramento King, but we'll see how the next month plays out.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you. You wear that jacket better than Shams, by the way. Like that is Shams' look. That little jacket. Yeah, you've got that look, man. That's the Anthony Slater look. You own that now.
I'll take that. But Shams a friend and a coworker, so
that's our guy. I've never seen Vivek more starstruck than when Shams walked across the court and was it game 1 last year. But I noticed you were wearing he wears that style cut of jacket every TV hit, and it's like, oh, that's his look. That's his look.
I'll take it.
We appreciate you, my man. Thank you as always.
All right, fellas.
That's our man, Anthony Slater, right there.
I teased this whole segment as 49ers, and here we are. It's time for the official Kenny Caraway prediction for 49ers Eagles.
There was another thought process I had about this Niners Eagles game.
Okay, great.
And it's going to lead into the prediction.
Okay. About 4 minutes.
If people talk about coaching matters and when teams lose, it's because of this coach, and when they win, it's because of this coach and all this other stuff. Well, let's look at the coaching matchups and let's try to figure out who has the advantage. I would say Niners offense, Eagles defense, coaching wise, is a wash. I love Vic. Vic is one of the great defensive coordinators of this era, in my opinion. Obviously, I love Kyle Shanahan. I would call that a wash. Robert Saleh versus what's his name, Portello. Who you think gonna scheme something up better?
Kyle Shanahan.
Well, that's not how this works. Kyle Shanahan ain't calling plays against Portello. Robert Saleh is calling plays against Portello.
I thought you said Vic and
yeah. I went Niners offense first. Yeah, Saleh or Portello. Who can scheme up the game? I think so too.
All right, so here's what I'm hearing. We as a group decided without question the 49ers have the advantage of quarterback. And you're now saying they have an advantage in coaching.
I think they do.
So they have the better quarterback and they have the coaching advantage. They shouldn't lose.
That's why they're not going to. 20-17, 49ers going to Philadelphia.
You writing it down?
Let's write it down.
Wow.
Let's write it. I'll go write it down right now.
We can write it down at the break. We only got like 2 minutes. All right.
Yeah, 2017. I
can't get there. I tried. I tried really hard. It just it's on the table. Like the Niners winning is on the table for sure. You tell me, the Eagles couldn't figure it out. Niners win 27-23. Like, yeah, for sure. 20-17. Yeah, I got it. I always go back to this. We always make the joke about keys to the game, and it's always like trenches. Who wins the trenches? Niners disadvantaged in the trenches significantly on both sides of the ball, and that makes it really tough to win. I think it's close. I don't think it's a blowout. I think the Niners score more than 3. I think Philly wins it though.
The Niners offensive line is held up better than people have given it credit for. Remember, we talk about this almost every August, and we're like, this offensive line is terrible. We see a preseason, we see the first 2 games, and they're terrible. And what do we always say, Kyle? This time of year, we don't ever talk about the offensive line no more.
It was a problem in Week 18.
It was,
and that's him.
It was,
but without Trent,
no Trent, no Trent.
What do you got, James? Eagles Niners Sunday.
I don't like saying this. 24-13 Eagles.
Goodbye. All right, goodbye.
Damien?
I said the 49ers on Monday. I'll stick with the 49ers today.
Jesse?
Well, let me get 27-17 Niners. I already got my take.
27, huh?
Everybody worry about this Eagles offense.
I'm not worried about the Eagles offense. I'm worried about the Niners defense.
Understandable.
That's different.
No, in Philly though. In Philly, they this offensive coordinator, they call him a bum.
Bro, Jalen Hurts was talking the other day, like, yeah, we've had to just kind of get through the things with the offense, the way KP calls plays. Talking about, like, because he was asked if he's been hurt this season. It's like, nah, I've been fine. Like they don't like Kevin Patullo at all.
All the Raider fans in the chat think the Eagles are going to win.
For sure. Absolutely. They hope the Eagles win.
Yeah, I hope we're talking about a Niners win on Monday. That'd be great. It would feel like the exclamation point on this season. Like that's like that. I don't want to say solidifies or validates in some way, but that would be the ultimate. All right, you win 12 games, but yeah, but the schedule. You go into Philly as an underdog, first round of the playoffs, you're beat up. You win that one. That'd be a feather in the Kyle Shanahan cap for sure.
It took a week. It took a week. I'm here now. I'm here now. I did the research.
Will you stop?
I did the research.
There was no chance you were ever going to pick against the San
Francisco. If you asked me on
49ers.
Sunday night, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm here now. I did the homework.
Not have gone on Sports Sunday and said the Eagles are going to beat the 49ers.
I did the homework, Damian. 2017 Niners going into Philly. I don't care what you're talking about, Gilly. I don't care what you're talking about, Drapes. 2017 Niners.
Is that a Kyle Draper reference?
He just took a shot at Kyle Draper. That's wild.
Are we allowed to book Kyle Draper?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't know. They pay so many goddamn people to stay away from us. I have no clue.
All right. That's it for the
we need to text Drapes. I forgot about the Philly connection. We need to text him.
When I saw him at the game on Sunday, he was talking. That's why I brought up Drapes. He was talking to me on Sunday night.
Okay.
The Eagles fan was talking?
Yeah.
Crazy.
He's like, yeah, we got you, KC. We got you. I said, yeah, all right. At the time, I wasn't saying too much because I wasn't too confident. But I've done the homework. 2017 Niners.
I like that score, though.
20-17 feels in the range.
I like that score.
Taking the under.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't even know what the number is, but I'll take it. We're back here. Our man Eddie Gonzalez joining us fresh off a workout. KC isn't even in on this. We just learned Cody Rhodes lost the title. Cody Rhodes got beat by Drew McIntyre today.
Where are they at?
Germany.
I'm over here reading spoilers. Like
what?
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre?
Yes.
All right, I'm glad I'm out, bro.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad. I don't even know what's going on, man.
Are we doing?
Eddie's excited or upset?
Yeah, I'm about to say. No, I was about to say, are we doing full spoilers because Sacramento made themselves heard at the end of this match too? So I'm like real locked in now. I'm about to watch.
What did you do?
Man, that's a hell of a tee. Oh, I see you.
Yeah,
I see you. Okay, I see you. All right, Sacramento, stand up.
Yeah, that I mean, as he was saying.
Yeah, man. So, what sort of barbaric workout did you just finish?
No, I'm relaxing. I'm actually doing some work over here. So I did a workout this morning that was pretty stupid. But
I thought you might have been jumping with 50-pound dumbbells in your hand or something.
Bro, don't remind me. I don't want no parts of that.
I saw that. Watching you hesitate, I was like, oh no, don't do it, Eddie. Don't jump, Eddie.
Yo, so the trainer I work with, his name's Antoine, and he's like I'm known now in his little circle of people he trains. It's like, hey, he'll just try whatever I tell him to do. They'll fight back. Like, no, I can't do that. That's too much. It's just, my dumb ass will like, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can box jump with a barbell on my back. I guess. And but that was a little scary. But I did it. So
yeah, you did.
Yeah, I made it work.
Hey, how good are both of you guys at jump rope?
Oh,
terrible. I'm terrible.
Yeah, that's a good warm up.
Yeah, I was been incorporating the jump rope in lately. It's just nothing major. Just
it's really good work, but I'm just awful at it.
Yeah, do the one. I do the.
I can't do the cross thing that all the boxers do. I can't do that. Yeah, I can do that.
The most I can do right now is the the double hop on one leg.
So yeah, can you do that?
I could do that. That's where it ends.
Mm-hmm. Can you do like the little double running? Jump? Yeah. No,
I can do the double jump.
Some guys do it kind of like as a skip jog type thing. Some guys can do it like that. I'm terrible at jump rope. I get like 10, 15 in a row and it's like boom, kicked it. All right. Now I gotta start again.
So I wanna man, there was something that just happened that I wanted to talk
Drew McIntyre won the title. That's
that I just saw though when I was out that I want to run past both of you guys. But the tweet that you were talking about, I believe, You talking about your tweet that says the Kings should just go get Ja. I'm gonna pull a Drewski. What you talking about? What you mean by what you mean by that?
I mean, that's one of the teams that seems to be involved here. It like if you're asking me, and what I mean by that tweet in general is they're not going to acquire a player of that stature without something like this happening, without his stock plummeting to the point where his franchise says, I'm out. And they have some contracts to make this work. They are going to be in a patient rebuild, supposedly. 26-year-old former All-Star doesn't always become available to the Sacramento Kings. And I feel like when they do, you should go make that happen. One of the most popular sneakers in the world right now, a very exciting player, type of player you can build around and, I think, build around and win some games. Now, do you have to build a very specific team around him? For sure. But I would rather have this piece, which is probably the hardest piece, and then figure out the rest over the next couple of years. And much like Trae Young and much like LaMelo Ball and a few other guys, I think Ja would just benefit from a fresh start and would understand what that means when he gets that opportunity. And there's not too many of these to go around. So I seen one of the guys I seen thrown around this week was Steve Nash. It's like, yes, Steve was cool in Dallas. Steve went to Phoenix and became a whole new thing. They're saying that for Trae, but there's something to that for Ja as well. He's gotten a little banged up over his years, and you lose a little bit of that explosiveness in his game. But again, I think somewhere where he can be the centerpiece outright, and a team that's going to have to take their time would be a great landing spot for him. But can the Kings beat whatever Minnesota would offer or whatever Miami would offer? We're going to find out, because we don't really know what Memphis's priorities are here. They're in that middle ground where theoretically they could push forward with Jaren Jackson and try to compete now, or if they want a complete teardown, maybe they want more picks than the Kings have and things of that nature. But if I'm the Kings, I'm going all in on Ja Morant, and I think they will.
You mentioned so here's my concern. Here's my concern with what you just said. You said that the Ja needs a specific team built around him. And I wonder how important a player like Jaren Jackson Jr. to the building of a Ja Morant team, because Sacramento has nothing even. By the way, Jaren Jackson Jr., the only player that 2018 draft who's still on of the players we talk about the most, who's still on the team that drafted him. DeAndre been moved, Marvin been on multiple teams, Luka's been moved, and now Drake's been moved. And there's Jaren Jackson, making $300 million or whatever it is. But you don't have that in Sacramento. You don't have anything that even remotely resembles that in Sacramento. So what's that ultimately look like, at least for the first year with Ja Morant here?
It's going to be tough. And it depends on what you're going to put around him. If you're going to do the complete teardown, if you're going to see what you can get for Domas. I mean, a Ja trade almost has to be Zach or DeMar. So that's gone. You've taken that off. Like, what do you do from there? But we talked about this on the show a couple times. They need a multi-year build. Like, it needs to be ugly for a little bit before it can be anything decent in Sacramento, because they need to compile some picks. They need to hit on those picks, and then they need to put together ancillary pieces and vets. So that's kind of my question mark I would have. If you're trying to foster this culture or this standard in your locker room, is Ja the guy to lead that charge? I don't think he has not shown to be that guy, and that's coming from a big Ja Morant fan. Now, whether you feel that's overrated or not, the Kings do need some sort of stasis in their organization, something they just have not had. And what they remind me of, and I hate to say it, and I'm sure Kenny's gonna get a little laugh out of this. They remind me of the Raiders. The Raiders need way more than a quarterback right now.
Yeah.
But they need to take a quarterback. That's the hardest part you're going to have to do in this rebuild, is draft a quarterback. Is Mendoza I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. But they need stasis too. We're going into head coach number whatever and however many years, and general manager however many years, and now Tom Brady is leading the charge. So that's the fifth voice in 7 years that's leading the charge. That's what the Kings have been dealing with as well. And if you look at the successful franchises in the NBA right now, you're looking at, look, the Knicks or they just came off losing like 5 in a row, but they've had the same front office for X amount of time. Boston Celtics obviously have the same front office. For Oklahoma City Thunder have the same front office for ages, and like teams are building on that stasis and that kind of like singular focus on what their goal is. Not only for obviously you want to win, but what they want their team to look like year in, year out. Who they want to coach the team, the philosophies they want to have in that team. The Kings have not had that since Rick Adelman. like it's been some time, and that's a big part that they need to figure out as well.
I've talked to DLo about this a few times. I want to run this by you as well, Eddie. Jerry Reynolds, Sacramento legend. Jerry Reynolds. He was in the studio about a month ago, and he was filling in, and we were talking about just basketball in general, philosophy of team building in the league and stuff like that. And he said something that I have not been able to get over since he said it, probably because he's right. But I asked him, what percentage of players in the league can benefit from a change of scenery? And he came up with the number. He was like, I'd say 95% of the players in the league need to not be with the team that drafted them at some point in their career. And when he talked about it, I thought about, I was like, yeah, like who stays with that same team the whole time? It don't happen like that. Do you subscribe to that theory where like eventually these guys need to leave the team that drafted them and kind of reestablish themselves or rebrand themselves to a certain degree with a new team and a new franchise?
Yeah, not to make this deeper than it needs to be, but I think that applies to life in general. Like, don't stick nowhere where you're not satisfied, where it's not working for you, where you're not able to build your fullest potential. Now, I know in basketball, we have this kind of philosophy of like, you stick it through. That's how you become great. You win the one title with the one team, that's better than winning the 4 with the 4 teams or whatever, however you may feel. But I mean, we are talking about, noted friend of Kevin Durant. And I'm like, yo, you got to be in a better place. Why wait around? What other job would you stick around and be miserable and knowing your talent's being capped off and knowing that you can be somewhere else doing better other than sports? So I 100% believe that. I think it's funny he said 99% because, you think of the outliers. I look at somebody like Steph Curry right now who's never going to leave. But if you look at him right now, like, yo, there's 10 better situations for him in the league right now, and they would all take him right this second. He won't do it, but that does kind of fall into what Jerry was saying. Like, yeah, even Steph should leave. Even Kobe should have left. He had great opportunity. He tried to, So, like, I agree with the philosophy for sure, and I think this is probably like the hot take of this point. But the league would be better if the guys were further chasing success in that way, because again, we wouldn't have 3 down years of Steph Curry. We'd have him on a contender somewhere, like really loading up. And I always think the league is better when we have better teams. Like whether we have the super team or we just have a really top heavy league. But when we have this set of 4, 5, 6 teams that are just incredible, the league is better.
Since the theme of this conversation has changed, we saw some change in the league earlier this week. Trae Young's headed to Washington. There was speculation about what Atlanta's going to do next. I'm guessing that's going to quiet down given the Anthony Davis news today. But what do you think about the Trae Young move, and what do you think his actual future is with the Washington Wizards?
Yeah, it sounds like he may not play this year, period. Mm-hmm. I'm actually in Washington right now. Funny enough, I'm gonna see the Pelicans and not Trae Young and the Wizards tonight. Just a coincidence. I didn't know this was happening.
That game is crazy to go. Pelicans and non-Trae Young Wizards. Wow.
I'm out here to see some friends, and it was like I'll probably go to a game. I'm in town, but I asked around a little bit in league circles. Just like, how do y'all feel about this? Like, I didn't love it until I talked to more people and kind of got an idea of where Trae's at as well. And, he's here to build for the long haul. I wouldn't be surprised if pretty soon, or at least at the very beginning of the summer, we hear that he signs a massive contract extension, maybe a max deal, but again, a 3-4 year deal. He's in here for the long haul to build with this franchise. And knowing that now, that makes more sense. And it's kind of the Ja Morant situation too, where Ja's going to have to if it's Sacramento, have to like not humble himself, but like sit in that situation knowing like this is a 3-4 year situation. Like we're gonna have to get through the ruts. They got a lot of talented young dudes here in Washington. You know, maybe they're moving on from stars, or maybe somebody like people who are kind of wondering, but they got a lot of talented wings here, and Trey has seen a lot in this league. And it's also going back to this the job point as well. It's kind of similar to the team that Trey is always going to need. Big, rangy wings who hit shots, who shoot threes, who help him, who complement his game and make him better. If he has the right philosophy, and it sounds like he does, I think it's a great spot for him. The other option I heard, which was kind of like it was always a one-team race, was the Raptors. And if he goes to the Raptors, it's a different deal, obviously, but it's probably RJ and Quickly and something else. But I don't think he was ready to be thrust into whatever that situation may be and that level of expectation right now. He's ready here for the slow build to kind of build up his reputation again. And I like it for him. I've always been a big Trae Young fan. I know what he kind of takes away from your team, but I feel like he adds a lot to your team as well. And again, even if he doesn't play this year, and he might just play a little bit next year to be better. And I think they'll continue to grow and continue to add pieces here.
So what I had just kind of heard and wanted to run by both of you guys while I had stepped out is there was a clip of DeMarcus Cousins talking on
Run It Back
with Lou Will, and he talked about, I don't know if you've seen this, Eddie, but the
Rick Carlisle clip.
No, that one's wild. We definitely.
I thought that was the way. Okay,
that was hilarious. But Kendrick Perkins the other day on his podcast said the Hornets are intentionally sabotaging LaMelo Ball and lowering his value on purpose. And DeMarcus Cousins said he wasn't like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. But he's like, yeah, I can see that. I said, I think Atlanta did that with Trey. I think they're doing it with LaMelo. I think Memphis is doing it with Ja. I think the Warriors doing it with Kuminga. Like they're sabotaging these guys. And I gotta really like think about what he's saying before I have agree or disagree. But let me ask you guys, like, you think that's what's happening with some of these guys?
I mean, I think in certain situations, some guys are held back, and very intentionally so. A lot of people will bring up the Warriors situation. And my issue with Kuminga and the Warriors is like, he might just not be good. Like, it's a lot of fuss about nothing to me with the Warriors, but we've seen other teams have players, you know, just in adverse situations when they don't need to be, and just played out of position, played out of their role that would be best for them. I mean, you could argue it's happened to Kevin a few times where everybody's upset he's parked in the corner, and it's like, you know, that benefits the team in a different anyway. But I think you've seen that. Now, are they tanking LaMelo's value so they don't have to pay him? They already paid him. Like, that's my issue with that. Same thing for Ja, same thing for Trey. Like, maybe Trey now because he's extension eligible, but he got hurt. You know, they didn't want him to be hurt. If anything, they wanted his value up so they could get more from a trade than CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. So I don't know. I have some issue with that, but I do think there are situations in the league, and much like any job and occupation, a lot of it is built on relationships and, you know, currying favor with certain people, where some better players probably aren't playing over worse players because they just have better relationships with the front office or the coach or whomever is in charge of making these decisions. But if you're tanking LaMelo right now, knowing you want to trade him, that's just poor management in that sense.
It doesn't add up to me.
The only thing that I haven't really found a way it adds up either. But if you don't want the player around, if they're, how do I put this? If like LaMelo is like this superstar, let's do Trey for example. If Trey is the superstar, he's playing, everything's good. Like, doesn't it feel like it might be more difficult to trade him because money's got to work, all this other stuff? If you just want him gone, you can say, oh, this guy's no good, or he doesn't help us win, or he's bad in the locker room or something like that.
But you run into the thing that we talked about earlier with Kuminga. You've spent 2 years telling us he's not good. He's this in the locker room. He's that. He's this problem. He's that. Despite the fact his teammates are saying something completely different.
Yeah.
All of these different stories are getting floated out, you know, to people who have strong connections to the team. and it's like that is not benefiting them.
Yeah,
it's not benefiting them at all.
I agree with you guys. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. I think if anything, you see the inverse where like Jimmy tanked his value last year in an effort to like you have to trade me, but he had like the leverage of this is my salary number, and you as a team you have to get something back for me. So like my value can only be tanked so much. If you're a team tanking your asset, it's like if I was selling you a car, but I took the rims off and I let all the oil out, and I told you to like I did all this, but you can buy the car for what I'm charging anyway if you want. You're like what?
Them streets of DC is wild, man. You need to be careful while you're out there in the in the nation's capital. The streets is
I hear you.
in a strange sentence, you did mention you're going to see the Pelicans tonight. We were looking at their squad earlier for some reason. I can't remember why. Bro,
because they said they're not trading a bunch of people.
That's what. Yeah. Yo, there's some talent, some really good young talent on that squad. I don't know what the excuse is for them being this bad.
No, I look at their roster and I don't get it. Almost every time I watch them play, they play a really competitive game with the Rockets earlier this year, and I was just like, "Yo, like, aren't they supposed to be good?" But and every time you watch Zion, you feel like, "Oh, like this is it. I get it." And then we don't see him again for a month or whatever it is. But a lot of talent, a lot of like modern talent too. Trey Murphy is this rangy shooter who can defend, and then you got Herb Jones, who is like super modern defender who defends 4 positions and is all over the place. It's like not only just talented guys, but like those should be winning guys. And everybody likes Isaiah Fears, and then Jordan Poole obviously has been part of a winner, and think what you will of his, his game or whatever. But it kind of doesn't make sense. People are high on their coach, and Willie Green got fired too. I don't know. I think some organizations in some situations just foster losing habits in a lot of ways and just unserious basketball. I think that's the same thing that's happening in Charlotte. And like we didn't really get into the LaMelo stuff, but I had conversations this week was like, yo, I still believe in LaMelo's talent, but like he's been playing meaningless basketball for like 10 years, going back to high school. He's never had to win basketball games or play in a role that's beneficial towards winning. It's just been this. He's probably just learned awful habits or just doesn't care. And now if you put LaMelo on the Minnesota Timberwolves, is he suddenly a better player because it's a more serious organization? I don't know, but I think he'll be in a better position to utilize his talents. And I think it's the same for all of the guys we just mentioned on the Pelicans. I wish Trey Murphy would get traded somewhere where I get to see him with a great guard and an athletic center and a smart offense where he's just like killing corner threes and attacking closeouts all night. I wish that would be great. I wish we got to see Herb Jones on the, I keep saying the Wolves, but like a team like that who's athletic and defends all night would be perfect for him. But we're just not getting that. And I don't know what the Pelicans are holding on to. Like a couple of years ago, the rumor was they were going to trade Zion to the Hornets for the pick that ended up becoming Brandon Miller and just pulled out last minute. Like the time to cut the cord for a lot of this was a long time ago. So I have no clue what they're holding on to now.
Real quick, you're talking about LaMelo. Did you see LaMelo last night?
Yeah.
Yo, he scored like 30 in like 15 minutes, right? Like,
yeah, it was also the first time he took that shot. Kind of a step back. He took a shot at the end, near the end of regulation. They asked him about it. They asked him about it after the game. And it was the first time I've ever heard LaMelo go, yeah, I don't think I should have taken it. that probably wasn't the one I should have taken. I don't think he's ever said that before. That wasn't the one for me.
The clip went around of him scoring 92 points the other day. It was like, what's the most him moment you ever seen? And they're triple teaming him without the ball, and he still gets open. He still makes this crazy three. And it's just like, that makes perfect sense in high school. It's just never going to be able to play basketball like that again, that when it matters. And it's great ball, great handler. I wouldn't call him a great shooter, but he's a capable, good shooter. He can make shots. He can score. He's got great court vision. That should matter somewhere, and it just hasn't yet.
Rick Carlisle won his 1000th game last night. That game that the Pacers beat Charlotte ended their longest losing streak in franchise history.
Jeez.
He had been on 9.99 for 13
Oh
straight
my
games.
God.
Yo, since before Christmas. I don't get that team either. Like, I know they're missing Halliburton, but Nembhard and Pascal Siakam should be able to gut out some wins here. Like, I have no clue what's going on with that team. Miles Turner could not have cost them that much, but they look awful.
They might just
like, hey, we made it last year. We're good, fellas.
We'll regroup next year.
And we'll regroup with AJ DeBonster.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That guy he ain't going to the Celtics no more because, man, they might mess around with the East still. That's
goodness. Hey, Eddie, before you get out of here, just real quick, I get your predictions. Wild card weekend. You got the Niners.
Eagles.
Niners. Who else winning?
Eagles. I got the Chargers losing. I got the Broncos losing when they play. Like, I don't like none of this going on. You know what my favorite kind of thing this playoffs is I like watching Matt Stafford play. Like, I don't mean to be that guy, but I just kind of love an old school quarterback who can literally make every throw. Puka's fun. Like, that Rams team is fun. I like watching him play. I'm super rooting for the Niners to not play at home Super Bowl. So, like, that's really my only betting interest here. Would love the Chargers to lose. Would love the Broncos to lose. I'm definitely on, like, I'm just here to have fun this week. Like, I'm here to see it. I'm interested in I want to see how far the Texans can go, though, because I'm a CJ Stroud fan. And he's hit or miss. Like, he seems like the pass rush gets to him a lot, but that defense they got is ridiculous. So I want to see what they do. I saw Drake May in person, which was like his legacy game against the Jets. He scored like 5 touchdowns. I just believe it now. Like, I don't know what to think of these quarterbacks who, not to be Cam Newton, but like they're just game managers, but they're like the greatest game managers I've ever seen. I'm a little scared we're going to get like a boring Super Bowl. It's like the Patriots and the Eagles or something, but that's football now.
Bad Bunny. Eddie, we appreciate you, my man. Enjoy the Pelicans and Wizards tonight.
Man, I love basketball, guys. I'm about to go watch this Cody Rhodes match, though.
That's crazy. Cody lost the belt. I'm still tripping off that. What?
Eddie got a glow now that he learned Cody lost.
Yo, I'm like, geek. CM Punk's the champ. Cody Rhodes is out, and he's not even. They're nowhere near each other. Like, keep him away from Roman Reigns. Like, keep him in the mid. Let him go bump for the U.S. title and be what he's supposed. Be gold dust.
Him and Zack Ryder going to tag team with each other.
Yeah, him and Austin Theory can do whatever they got to do down there for another belt. No belts, just a regular match. Like, just open the doors with them.
Eddie, we appreciate you, boy. Thank you.
See you later, guy.
All right, we back here. You know it's special, man. Bonte Hill, NBC Sports California, joining us. Man, there's a lot to. First of all, Bonte, appreciate you carving out some time for us. You are not only busy tonight with the Kings Warriors, a game that used to mean so much, and now is like, oh yeah, they play tonight. But you got a big weekend ahead, of course, with the Eagles and the 49ers. Let's start there because that game has meaning, unlike the one that's happening at Chase Center. That game has some meaning. You famously went to the Philadelphia playoff game many years ago. A lot of people are worried about this defense of the Eagles, this defense of the 49ers, and what this winds up looking like, man. How do you feel the 2 days before the game?
I feel like D-Lo that, and shout out to the Chatty House, by the way. I feel like this is the Eagles game to lose. Like, this Niners defense, they had 20 sacks on the season. They get no pass rush. Mm-hmm. They can't stop the run. The last 3 weeks, they haven't been able to get off the field on third down. They're third worst in the league. On the season, they're like fifth worst when it comes to getting off the field on third down. So this is tailor-made for the Eagles to get right, at least for a round. You got Saquon. Even their offensive line, they're not as great as they were last year. They're good enough to get Saquon going, and Tank Bigsby is the backup. And you got some stars at wide receiver, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and you got Dallas Goedert, and the Niners are signing dudes off the street to play linebacker this week. Meanwhile, they have probably the worst cover safeties in the league, and Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa. So it's on the Eagles to determine how close they want this game to be. I think the Niners offense will be able to move the ball some, But again, when you don't have a wide receiver who can't take the top off the defense, all of a sudden, like Seattle, they're going to creep within 10 to 15 yards of that line of scrimmage. But there's plays to be had. The Niners have a shot. I'm not saying it's not impossible to beat the Eagles, but it's really on Philadelphia. If Philadelphia comes out and starts screwing around, crowd gets restless, they start getting disgruntled, and all of a sudden the Niners are like, you know what? We're in this. Let's go steal this game because we've been in these type of football games all season long. But I just think the Eagles, they kind of just took a step back last week, caught their breaths, because when you're the hunted, whether it's the NBA champs or the Major League, like it's a different energy when you're the hunted. You're everybody's Super Bowl. And for the most part, DLo and KC, they beat Kansas City at Arrowhead, early in the season when we still thought the Chiefs were the Chiefs, right? They beat the Lions on Sunday Night Football and held them without a touchdown. They beat the Packers at Lambeau Field when the Packers still had Micah Parsons. They've won all those big games this year, and it hasn't looked pretty. So I feel like it's the Eagles' game to lose, man. I think it's a long shot that the Niners go out of there, go into Philadelphia and become victorious.
Let me first off say I think the Niners would have to – I still believe they would have to play the game of the year to win this game in Philadelphia.
Yep.
But I don't feel the same way today that I did on Sunday night. Sunday night, I was like, this is just a bad matchup. This is not good for the 49ers. But as the week has gone along, naturally, you read more, you look more into it. And I see some pathways, Monte. I see enough pathways where it's not even the 49er fan thing. I'm legitimately saying they're going to win 20-17. And here's a couple reasons why. If we're going to talk about coaching and how coaching matters, let's do the coaching comparison. I look at Shanahan and Vic Fangio, who's my boy, who's our boy. We love Vic from San Francisco. I look at that as a bit of a wash. Vic's going to have his plays. I think Kyle's going to have his plays. But if you go up against that Eagles offense going up against Bob Saleh, even though they're depleted on the defensive end, when you talk about a game plan and a scheme, I think Saleh for one game can out-scheme this guy enough to give the 49ers opportunities to win. The last thing I'll say real quick before you get a chance to respond here is I think the bend but don't break, it's frustrating because yards just get accumulated throughout a whole game, but it's the best way that this team can give themselves an opportunity to win. And as much as they got dominated yards-wise and controlling the game last week in Seattle, it was 13. And even if they make a couple of their field goals that they missed, it's still like a two-score. Like you still got an opportunity if the offense wakes up. And I think that's going to be the game plan again this week, and it's going to give the Niners a chance. So I laid out a lot there. Are you buying any of that?
No, I do buy it. I'm like you. Sunday night, I'm like, oh, this is the worst possible matchup. This is bad. I got a tweet out there, and if the Niners win, Freezing Cold takes is going to be all over it, man. I was like, I'd be shocked if they come out. But then as the week has gone along, I'm saying, all right, there's a pathway. The Eagles are 24th or 22nd or 24th when it comes to run defense. They allow 124 yards a game on the ground. First and foremost, the Niners are going to have to run that football. They're going to have to run that football and eat clock. I'm talking about 12-play, 70-yard, take 7 minutes off the clock. What we saw from Miami last night against Ole Miss, keep Philadelphia off their offense off the football field. Because I always thought once they got out of the bye week, their best defense was going to be their offense. They're going to have to score more. So there are yards to be had. But they have a secondary that I don't think they're going to respect the Niners wide receivers. Juwan Jennings is a solid wide receiver. At some point in this football game, you're going to have to make a play on the outside. You're going to need one of your wide receivers. And Fangio knows that. He knows where George Kittle is. He knows Christian McCaffrey is the hub of this offense. At some point, they need a big-time wide receiver or a big-time play from one of their wide receivers, and I don't necessarily see that happening with the secondary that Philadelphia has. But there is a pathway. Run the ball, control the clock, and make Philadelphia just kind of self-destruct there by keeping them out of the end zone. So they got to make it a bar fight, a fist fight, but their offense is going to have to hum at a high level, and Philadelphia knows that. And with Jalen Carter back, Trent Williams being at less than 100% with a hamstring injury, it's going to be a tough night for the Niners. But there's a pathway. I feel a lot better about the game. I still don't think the Niners are going to win. I'm not going to go there. If I had to bet $1 DLo KC, I'm betting on Philadelphia.
Bonte Hill, NBC Sports California. I do think the 49ers are going to win, and here's one of the reasons why.
Wow, you guys are optimistic.
We're talking defense. And mind you, I'm not decked out in 49ers red and gold. This is just there's something that there's something about Philadelphia that I've just struggled with all year. And we talk about you just mentioned keeping them out of the end zone. I don't know how hard the 49ers are going to have to work to do that. When you look at some of the numbers this year, you got 33, 17, 10, 15, 19, and 13. Those are how many points they've scored against teams that made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that 33 was the Rams game in week 3 where they scored on the block kick to end regulation. Their offense is not threatening. Like the 49ers defense might not be very good. You talk about bend don't break. Yeah, they might give you 70 to get down the field. But between what the 49ers defense can do and the Eagles struggles on offense, you can hold them to 3. If you could just get something back on the other end, that's where those long sustained drives that Monte was just talking about come into play. Yeah, like the scores that get thrown around, the one I like the most is something in the vicinity of 20-17.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this.
Yeah, no, it's shocking to see how much. Well, not really, right? You move on from Kellen Moore. He goes, takes the Saints jobs. You have this guy, Kevin Patullo, who just seems like he's in over his head. We dealt with it last week with Nick Sorensen, or last season with Nick Sorensen as a defensive coordinator. Remember way back when North Turner was the offensive coordinator with Alex Smith and Frank Gore, and they felt like they were ascending as an organization. North Turner gets the San Diego Chargers late, and they're stuck with this offensive coordinator named Jim Hostler. I mean, they started running 3rd and 5 fullback dives, dude. I'm like, what's going on out here? So I see a little of that with Kevin Patullo, and Nick Sirianni's not necessarily your offensive play caller. He's more of a CEO type. Let me make sure everything's good around here. I'm going to manage a game. I'll throw my challenge when I need to. I'll call a timeout when I need to. But other than that, Kevin Patullo seems like he's in over his head. So can you put pressure on them or force them into uncomfortable situations? The biggest thing with Philadelphia, and I felt like this over the last 3 years with them, keep them out of 3rd and 5 in manageable situations, meaning you eliminate that tush push. They get into 3rd and 4, well, you know they're going to run the football, and they're going to get the 4th and 1, and that tush push is basically undefeated. So you want to stay out of that situation. So keep them in 3rd and long and make Jalen have to really think about throwing that football out there. But that's easier said than done, right? A.J. Brown's a low. Renardo Green's going to try to guard him. Renardo Green struggled this year. Devontae Smith is a pro. Is a pro's pro. He's a dynamic playmaker. And Dallas Goedert again. So there is a pathway. There's no doubt the Eagles offense has struggled. But I just feel like this is the game they're going to get right with the week off. I think this playoff energy for them is going to be refreshing because, again, when you're the defending champs, I've seen this with the Warriors for so long, but they just get bored in the regular season at times. They're like, damn, the Washington Wizards are selling out against us, man. They got 15 wins, and we got to play our asses off in this game to get a dub in the nation's capital. Like every LKC is going through that right now where when you walk into that gym, oh, it's going to be a sellout. The kids are coming, parents are coming. They want to see the champs. The champs are in town. So it's a different energy for them to just get back to this point saying, all right, we got a home game. We're playing to beat up defense. I expect the best from Philadelphia, but all your points, DLo and KC, are valid because I could see that playing out in this football game as the week progresses.
Come on, man. Bonte Hill, NBC Sports Bay Area, man. Just all around Bay Area GOAT. You know, that's just what he is. All around Bay Area GOAT. We talking a little bit about this Niners-Eagles game. I want to go in the right now and then a little bit macro. Ricky Pearsall doesn't practice again today. I think my boy Slick Rick, unbelievably talented. I love seeing him out there on the field. The problem is I don't always see him out there on the field. Big picture, the Niners are going to have to go draft a wide receiver in probably the first round. Like you can't rely on this guy to be your 1 or maybe even your 2. He has the talent to, but I don't know if his body can hold up to the NFL.
I mean, before he got shot last season, he was hurt.
Wild start to this. Wild start to that.
I mean, I'm just saying. Before he got shot, thank God he's alive. You know, you know, it was, the dude bounced back. But before he got shot, right? It sounds crazy. Right?
That's what I'm saying.
It sounds crazy, man. It's like
all over here.
You know, it's so funny. I was actually in Philadelphia for Jason Dubas's wedding when my cousin who's on the force is like texting me, I think Pearsall got shot. Dude, it's like what? And it's just wild, right? Wild. Yeah. But he was hurt in training camp before that. Dealing with it, hammies and shoulders. And so this is where the Ayuk loss hurts. And I was thinking about that last week as I was watching the game against Seattle. It's like, damn, it would have been good to have Brandon Ayuk. Man, because I think Niner fans, for the most part, when he was going through the contract negotiations and it was ugly and a lot of fans turned on him, I think they underrated how valuable Ayuk was to this offense and his rapport with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk had a great connection together. I mean, they were balling together. And then you think about the run game in which he could run block and take the top off the defense. Yeah, they're going to have to be in the market for another wide receiver, whether it's to draft or whether it's free agency or whether it's a trade. And I don't know if they want to take on big time money for a wide receiver, but there could be some dudes out there this offseason. And that stinks, KC, that we can't count on Ricky Pearsall. I mean, I'm not going to lie. When they drafted him, I didn't know who he was. Like, who? I watched college football. I was like, what? Who? But you see why maybe teams weren't that high on him, even though he was a first-round pick, because he can't stay on the field.
Yeah.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised at the 49ers season, given the context of everything? Bosa, Fred Warner, Ricky Pearsall in and out. Now you got, Bethune, D. Winters, all of that stuff. Are you surprised that we're here and we're talking about them potentially advancing to the divisional round?
Absolutely, DLo. I thought they'd win 10 games. I thought they'd be 10-7 and surprise some people given the schedule, right? On paper, the schedule looked quote unquote easy, but those teams on the schedule actually played better than what we thought. Like Jacksonville, I thought would be better. I didn't think they'd be this much better, but they were better. The Texans, we knew had talent or promise to be better. That's a great defense, probably the best in the NFL. So considering everything that you just laid out, DLo, not having Purdy for 8 games, 7 games, not having George Kittle, who tore his hamstring in the first game of the season in the first half, the Bosas, the Warners, Mykel Williams, you name it. Absolutely. And here's the other surprising part. The one guy who did stay healthy was Christian McCaffrey, who everybody thought was washed.
Yeah.
Right? So, the fact that they were playing for a number 1 seed last week, this game is house money to me, man. I'm actually proud of this unit. The way they've played, the heart they've shown, and Shanahan has shown that he can coach. Like this is the first time, DLo KC, that I've gone through a season where I haven't heard anything about Kyle Shanahan being on a hot seat. Which is great. It's taken 9 years. This is the first season I've gone through, walked the streets and everything, and ain't nobody said, oh man, Kyle Shanahan's on a hot seat. This dude was going to NFC Championship, Super Bowls. Yo, man, he don't do this. He getting fired. What?
Because you're not on the radio every day anymore talking to TC. Get TC your cell phone number. He'll call, put Kyle on the hot seat every day.
Hey, TC called a couple Tuesdays ago when I jumped in on the roast, man. He looked by saying, TC, man. I met TC. At practice, we was hyping up Trey Lance. He had the Trey Lance authentic on. The authentic Trey Lance jersey on.
He just called us and said that's what he's wearing when he watched the game on Sunday. The Trey Lance.
Trust me, man. We got to let that one go. I had to let it go. Trust me. That video's still circulating out there, man. I thought I seen Black Jesus, dude. I was like, we got one. The cool part is, DLo KC, we saw 2 kids walking by us with their mom, and they're like, yeah, they're begging me to go get a jersey. And Shasky tells them, you better go get that number 5 Trey Lance. 5 minutes later, we're starting up the car. They're walking back to the team store. The mom looks at us and goes, well, guess we're going to get that Trey Lance. I know she looking for us like, yo, man, I just spent $300 on this jersey.
Oh, man, they got the authentic. They got the swingman joint.
Yeah, they got the swingman dog. So, TC, we know TC's out there. Robin San Bruno's out there. That's my guy, though. I love TC. That's my bro, as he always says.
Absolutely.
Ain't buying a Trey Lance jersey.
The inside joke is that's what DLo got me for Christmas that year. He got me a Trey Lance jersey.
Oh man!
Never bought anyone another Christmas present after that.
I wore it not too long ago.
Yeah, it was real funny.
I did. What happened?
Hey man, I didn't send a tweet. I didn't say anything about him playing last Sunday. I was like, dude, he's playing with nobody with the Chargers, man, against that defense. And the Jackals are out there. See, Trey Lance, look at him. It's like, dude, you're going against Denver, man. Like, what you gonna do?
4th and goal with the 14 seconds. Don't run out of bounds. Why'd you run out of bounds? Throw the ball somewhere. What are we doing?
What are we doing, man?
One more Niner question I want to ask you, and macro question here as well. How do you feel about Brock Purdy, just as a quarterback? Is it like they got the franchise guy? Did you always feel that way, or did he show you some things lately?
Yeah, I thought he proved something to me last year in the face of adversity. Like, you got to think, Ayuk, McCaffrey, and Debo scored 40 combined touchdowns in 2023. They didn't play one game together last season. McCaffrey played a game and a half, right? Ayuk gets hurt week 7, week 8. Debo's his mind is somewhere else. I mean, and Purdy, think about the Mac Jones game this year at SoFi Stadium against the Rams. Brock Purdy had that same game against the Rams last season. The difference was Jake Moody missed a kick. Eddie Pinheiro made a kick. Ronnie Bell dropped the pass. Kendrick Bourne caught passes. That was the difference. Brock Purdy balled out in that game without George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. And everybody was saying, oh, we want to see him without the stars. We want to see him without the Avengers. Later on in Tampa, he threw for 353, right? But we all remember that game because Jake Moody missed 3 kicks and Deebo Samuel was ready to go to Charles Sprewell on him. So, so the fact that he's been this resilient, and you saw the Bears game, the plays that he was making. And here's the thing about the deal. It's really a 2-year deal because they can get out of it, I believe, after 2027. So you're not totally, you know how the NFL contracts work. You got to dig through them and like, oh, there's a loophole. Yeah. So right now they got the guy, and I feel good about him moving into 2026.
Yeah.
Bonte, remember when these Kings-Warriors games used to mean something? Remember when they were fun?
Man, we so it's Mully and I tonight, and we were having our pre-show call. And just over a year ago, I think it was January 5th, actually, and we're going to run this on our pregame show. Kings came down to Chase Center and beat the Warriors by 30. And Doug Christie had words for Draymond and Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
And we were looking at the players on both sides. Wiggins was a Warrior. TJD was starting. Kuminga was playing well, but he had just injured his ankle. On the other side, there's Fox. There's Monk dropping a double-double. They were like, damn. Things have changed so fast. We were talking about 3 years ago, and so we're going to run some stuff on the Kings. Like, what has happened? And I genuinely, this year, I watch a lot of basketball, man. You know me, I love the NBA, so I watch the Kings a lot. And Trey for one post-game show goes, folks, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to play this one after another 30-point loss. And I'm like, dang, what did it whoa. And I tapped in when Doug Christie was going on his little press tour rants this past season where he's like, we're going to play hard as long as you play for me. And no. And I'm just like, man, what happened? And it does stink because this was a fun-ass rivalry, man. That year when you guys were lighting the beam, and y'all going at it with me, and Shasky were about to fight each other on the first 2 games. We about to fight each other, and y'all tweet like, yo, they going at it. They're fighting each other. They're breaking down. I mean, it was so much fun, man. It was great. And I felt like us three and Shasky, Drace, we had a lot to do with that rivalry. We really helped elevate that rivalry, and it was fun for Northern California, the I-80 Classic, and to see where the Kings are at right now and see where the Warriors are at. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on down here. Kuminga's not playing. I mean, it's just a mess on both sides, but a different type of mess. Like, it's the end of the dynasty down here, and up there in Sacramento, just trying to figure out what direction to go in and how to start this direction. Where do we go? Do we start with trading this guy or that guy? It's just sad, man, because you guys do have some very loyal fans up there in the 916.
You know what I remember most about that game? One, I think that was when we FaceTimed everybody. We started everybody. I ain't never talked to Matt Nahegan in my life, but FaceTimed him that day just to see if he'd pick up. And the reason was not just the 30-point game. It was that this is the 100% the part I remember most. Steph did the press conference like this.
He was done.
He had his hand on his head, like on his face, the whole press conference, and we watched that like this man knows it's over. We weren't even celebrating the Kings as much as the demise of the Warriors. We know it's over, and Steph knows it's over. And then you hoes go get Jimmy Butler and you get that little boost.
Dude, the score at halftime was 75-51. 74-51 to 75-51. Y'all was up 20 plus at the half of that game. And here's the other part. At the end of the game, in the fourth quarter, Kings fans took over Chase. Let's go, Kings. Light the beam. Yeah. And it was like, oh no. I got 3 weeks left for radio for this crap, and I'm out. You ain't gonna find me no more, baby. Dude, it was bad, man. It was bad. And to see where both teams are at right now, the Warriors in the play-in. There's nothing to brag about. Like, you know what I'm saying? They just had a night where they went 3 for 24 in the third quarter and went 0 for 9 for the 3-point line and scored 13 points. Like, there's nothing to brag about down here. You know, we know we got our own issues. We got the Draymond Green scenario. You got Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler. Oh man, it's been tough.
Let's talk about Kuminga a little bit because, you know, reports are coming out. Your co-host on the podcast, Monty Poole, was talking about like the Kings are really the only team that's interested in Kuminga, or at least the basketball player. Anthony Slater said the same thing to us yesterday. What happens with the Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga? It feels like they overplayed their hand a little bit, thinking they'd be able to trade him around this time for a big name player. And with the relationship that's soured between, or continued to sour, between Jonathan Kuminga and the coaching staff, it doesn't seem like it's going to be an easy move at all.
Yeah, if you got another hour, we could sit here and talk, because this thing is, I mean, and I'm pretty tapped into Kuminga's people. Right? They respect. They trust me. They're tapped into every show, podcast, article. They know what's going on. You know, they're no W's. It's the day and age we're in. The worst thing to happen for the Warriors, and maybe for Kuminga, is that he balled out against Minnesota the way he did. And the entire country saw, wait a minute, that dude's 22 years old, and he's shooting 54%, 42 from 3 against the Minnesota Timberwolves, dropping 24 without playing the last 3 weeks. That's what's been sitting on the bench. And I never believed, like, if you look at every one of his seasons, he's had stretches where he's gotten better, and he makes a couple mistakes, and boom, he's DNPing or he's getting 5 minutes. It's just, I don't like the treatment of JK. I think it's a joke, especially on this team that's hovering around 500. He can't play on this team out of all the teams, so he never wanted to come back in the first place. And then when he finally agreed to basically like, yo, I'll come back, I'm all in. And he is all in. He's a great kid. That's one of the worst things that's out there. The narratives that, hell, he's a moper, he's a cancer. That dude is a great kid. What is wrong with a 22, 23-year-old basketball player who wants to influence winning and wants to be great? There ain't nothing wrong with that. We got a lot of dudes in this league that don't want that. Once they get their money, they're cool. We got our 8-bedroom house, 5-bath. We got our Lamborghinis and Porsches. We got every OnlyFans model out here. We good. Like, Kuminga wants to be great. And to see him start off the season the way he did, and all of a sudden, like, it was crazy. So going into that Sacramento game earlier this season where he balled out, he got in foul trouble, and he had a couple of mishaps late in the game, but he played great. Him, Will, Richard, and Moody, they were awesome in that game against Sac. And a couple of days before that, he got into it. With, you know, it was just like him and Steve, I think, had a big argument about something that happened in Milwaukee and Indiana. He's like, look, man, I'm not the only one making mistakes. Our veterans are turning the ball over. And so for it to get to this situation to where the young man's not even stepping on the floor, and now it's not even worth playing him because you got the trade deadline coming up. You saw Anthony Davis last night get hurt. Dallas is screwed. You go out there and throw Kuminga out there who hasn't played in a couple weeks. I mean, Kuminga's played once since December 6th. And that was a 9-minute stint against the Phoenix Suns when Steve Kerr said, hey, he's been practicing hard. I want to reward him. Well, the reward was 9 minutes against the Phoenix Suns. All right? The start of the second quarter, the start of the fourth quarter. It's like, what are we doing here? So the best thing for the Warriors and for JK is just to say, hey, you may just be able to get whatever out of him. Like, if they're expecting a big-time player, a guy who's going to drop 25 a game, you're tripping. They help sabotage his value. They help do that. So it's a mess, and it's unfortunate because the kid has talent. Is he a great player? I don't know that yet. Does he have flaws? Yes, he messes around on the perimeter, and his handle's pretty loose. His handle's not that great. But the guy can dive to the basket. He could guard at the point of attack, and he's a freak athlete. Like, he's getting you 18 on a bad day if he gets the minutes. And when I talk to NBA players who retired, like Chris Mullin or Eddie Johnson or all these other dudes, you average 18 in the NBA, you ain't no scrub. You can do something in this league. So it's an unfortunate situation that's really just been hovering over this organization for the last 6 months.
I'm glad you said that, Monte, because that's kind of how we started the day when talking about Jonathan Kuminga. This is just a poker game with this man's career. That's what the Warriors are doing, and they're playing with other general managers. And now it's, we talk about trading. The NBA trades are often not exactly about trading players, but they're about trading contracts. And the Warriors have been working to trade some sort of contract to land a Giannis or a whoever, Anthony Davis, whoever they felt was what they needed to get Steph Curry to that 5th title. And they're doing it at the expense of this young man's career.
It's not right. It's not right. And look, Steve, he doesn't fit the way Steve wants to play. That's totally fair. I would like to see Steve tweak some things sometimes and say, hey, let's get away from the motion and do something that caters to your talents. I think Shanahan, we're talking about Niners, he caters his offense to the strengths of his players. He knows what his players can and cannot do. So he puts them in a position to succeed and limits them in terms of like, hey, I know he can't do this, so I'm not going to put him in that spot. Steve Kerr, I think, has done a bad job with that when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga and with a lot of the young guys. And it's just so funny now. People are like, man, we need a triple drive penetrator. We need a guy who can create shots for other players. Well, you had that with Jordan Poole. You had that. We know what happened there, and he gets traded alongside Ryan Rollins, who's playing good ball in Milwaukee. That's two guys, that you blew here. And then you bring in CP3, who was basically done and was one. So it's a tricky spot. And I don't know what the Warriors expected to get for Jonathan Kuminga, but it can't be like you think Trey Murphy's just going to come. Oh, here's Trey Murphy for JK, guy you're not playing. We're tripping. So, yeah, I don't know what happens with JK, but that's been a huge talking point down here, no doubt.
Monte, we'll let you get to work. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just wanted to ask real quick, Monte. Is this Steve Kerr's last year?
I said on the podcast earlier with Monty, I said I would be shocked if he comes back next year. He seems tired. Like it's a lot going on. I mean, he's apologizing for getting cursed out. Go figure. He's apologizing for getting cursed out, man. Like, what? What are we doing? So everything that the last 3 weeks, if you go back and listen to every Steve Kerr press conference the last 3 weeks, it's like we're out here giving Buddy Hield credit, and God bless Buddy Hield. I like Buddy. He's a positive dude. I like my interactions with him. But he's out here on podiums giving him credit, saying, hey, man, he's lively on the bench. He's not playing, but he's communicating. He's getting up, cheering for the guys. And what? It's the NBA, man. What are we doing? So it's been wild. You got the Draymond Green podcast. We know what comes with that. And then you got Steve Kerr apologizing for getting cursed out.
That was crazy.
It's just, man, we can't pinpoint what's going on. We're getting to the point, DLo KC. It's almost like we're talking about everything but the game with this organization. And that's what made the Warriors fun. We're talking about the game. Now we're talking about everything else but the game. Mm-hmm. It's just wild out here, man. So, yeah, Kings Warriors, 7 p.m., baby. Lock in. Let's go.
Hey, I'll be tapped in. We get the pre and post out here, man. So I'll be tapped into my boy, man.
Yeah. What are we doing? We wearing Versace tonight? Gucci, what are we wearing tonight?
I've done no Gucci. Okay. I've done no Versace. I've been on a Pico hype lately. It's been cold. I'm bringing out the mob coats out here, man. A little tie underneath or whatnot. And it got me some dope little red bottles for Christmas. I ain't brought those out yet. Hey, brought those out. She brought those out. He brought those out yet. I'm gonna be at the gear house with the legs crossed, making sure y'all see the bottom of the soles.
I was gonna say the socks. I see Bonte in the socks. I be seeing the socks.
You got to coordinate with the cameraman. Hey, when you see it, make sure it's seen.
Make sure you get them action shots, man.
We ain't doing no stand-up shots today. I want everything on the couches.
Everything on the couches, dog. Hey, you see that camera before? You ready? All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Bonte, we appreciate you, man. We'll be tapped in tonight.
Go Niners, man. Come on, man. Let's go.
Yeah, love y'all boys. Man, hey, I hate Philadelphia. I can't stand their fans. I can't stand anything in Philadelphia. Fun city, good food. Cannot stand those people out there in Philly. So a win will go a long way for your boy, man.
There we go. Thanks, Bonte.
All right, boys. I'll be smooth.
Bonte Hill, NBC Sports Bay Area.